Little Las Vegas for me. Tony Gwynn has been idle this week as he kind of rests before the start of baseball season. Matt Skraby's holding down the fort in the Odyssey Palace studios. And even though Tony Gwynn Jr. is taking a little rest, the pitchers and catchers are not, Scrabe.
Oh.
They have arrived at spring training.
I'm telling you, Chris, I don't know that I've been this excited for baseball season in a very long time.
Thank you, Bobby Cressy or Helen Dell.
Yeah,
or
Bobby Cressy, that's a good call. Good call.
Yeah, good job over there. Yeah, no, baseball is finally here. Pitchers and catchers reporting today to Peoria and other places around Major League Baseball. It's still the off season. Let's be honest. I mean, we've got, especially for the Padres, they still have some work to do. But at least for one day, it feels a little glorious out there. Everybody. They used to say this, Scrape. I don't know how true it is anymore, because, honestly, you can't really be thinking this way if you just walked into White Sox camp this morning. But
yeah.
They used to say on the first day of spring, at least everybody kind of thinks they have a chance. You know what I mean? It's the world is wide open with possibilities.
But did they say this or make this saying when the Dodgers and Mets spent $1 billion in the last two off seasons?
No, they never had to. They never had to be concerned with that.
That was my big thing yesterday, Chris. Was Jeff Passan wrote that Juan Soto's deal was more money than 15 teams spent in free agency, and the Mets spent over $1 billion. The Dodgers spent over $1 billion. No one can compete with that.
Nobody even came close to trying to compete with that. But the funny thing is this, and look, what the Dodgers did in the offseason is, I think we've well documented it around here.
Yes.
But the bottom line is this. Even though we know the Dodgers are going to be good this year, we know the Mets are going to be good this year, the Yankees are, going to be good this year, and, several other teams you can throw in there. The bottom line is this. A different team seems to win the World Series every year. And not only does a different team win the World Series, there's two different teams in the World Series every year. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, last year it was the two evil empires. It was the Dodgers and the Yankees. Before that, it was the Diamondbacks and the Rangers. Two teams that didn't even make the playoffs last year.
With no hype around the World Series at all.
Exactly. The year before that, it was the Phillies and the Astros. Now, the Astros have been repeat, in terms of getting in there a couple times. The point is, baseball, unlike football, where it's pretty much the Chiefs every year, baseball is the one sport where you truly could walk in on opening day, a spring training. You could say to yourself, hey, we catch some breaks. A lot of things go our way. We stay healthy, et cetera, et cetera. We catch a little magic. We get into the playoffs. We could wind up winning the whole thing. And the funny thing is, if you go back to the days when that old adage was talked about, Skraby, which was, hey, it's the opening day of spring training, pitchers and catchers report, we all have a chance to win the World Series. Well, guess what?
What?
Back in the 1950s, the 1960s, and et cetera, there were 3/4 of the teams that had no shot. It was going to be the Yankees in the American League. It was going to be the Dodgers in the National League. Every once in a while, the Red Sox would have a big year. If you look it up, the Yankees won, I think it was 12 pennants in 14 years. So try going up against that if you were the Cleveland Indians then, or the Detroit Tigers then, or the Kansas City Athletics back then. You were going to spring training with no hope at all.
Number one, whoever came up with that slogan or saying or whatever it is a genius marketer, because it makes all the fans want to spend their money on it. Number two, it was way easier to maybe slip this past everyone when there was no social media. You had to wait for the paper to tell you that they signed someone, and by that point it was a week old. I don't even know if they reported on signings. I don't
think they're really. Well, to be honest with you, Skraby, there was no such thing as free agency back then.
That's true.
As a matter of fact, there wasn't free anything. The owners ran the world.
Okay.
The players were basically one step ahead of slaves. they had to take exactly what was given with them to them.
Yeah.
There was something called a reserve clause, which meant that everybody held the right to reserve to hold on to every player they wanted to.
For like life?
Yes, you could. Mickey Mantle never signed a big contract anywhere else. Joe DiMaggio never left New York for brighter pastures. Those things weren't even available.
That's actually a really good point because, like, at least now we're in a spot where I guess Ohtani has a shot at playing for another team one day, or Yamamoto.
Yeah, he's already
Sasaki.
played. Look, he's already played for 2. I mean, that's more than almost every guy used to play. Look, when they invented the Baseball Hall of Fame, way back when, they put people into the Hall of Fame, and on their plaques, they had them wearing a hat, right?
Yes.
And on that hat was the logo of the team they played with. It's only been in the last 10 to 15 years that what logo to put on your hat has become a story.
Before it was just the Yankees.
Before, in those days, it was the team you played on. That was the one you played on a team. Stan Musial played on the Cardinals. Ted Williams played on the Red Sox. There was no moving around. Didn't go anywhere.
How did they acquire these players? Now I'm curious. Like, did they draft
through the
them?
Draft? Yeah, through the.
So you're just luck of the draw that you get Joe DiMaggio for your entire.
Well, I think
existence.
the Yankees had a bit of a. That it would be something that would be a little more involved, and it would take somebody who's more of a baseball historian than I am to dig that.
It's
all
an
up.
Interesting premise, though.
It would be, but I think the Yankees had a little bit of a, kind of a higher, more money to spend even then to invest in young players and farm prospects and get the best into
Did
their
they defer money, the Yankees, back then?
I don't think so. No.
They deferred like $50 to like 3 years from now?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Joe DiMaggio's trust is being paid $100,000 this year.
That's it? 100?
No, I don't think they.
But
they
back to your
diverted
original point.
Yes.
As much complaining as we have done about the Padres roster, they are one of the teams that does have a chance with some work.
That's true. I read something again the other day. It was I think it was a list of odds, teams favored to win the World Series. Look, the Dodgers are on top. The Mets are right there. The Yankees are there. But the Padres were 9th. Now, I know we don't go into the season trying to finish 9th, but the point is, somebody out there somewhere still thinks the Padres have a pretty good team.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
You're right. It is spring training. You catch a little fun. Some good things happen. You find yourself a new version of Jurickson Profar this year. You find yourself another version of Kyle Higashioka this year. You get contributions from Randy Vasquez this year like you got from Michael King last year. Do you know what I'm saying? Things can happen. It does happen. These were not things. Look, we did not take any of those things, Higashioka, Profar, King, and many others you could name, Jackson Merrill, thank you, right? Guy wins the Rookie of the Year practically. We did not take any of that stuff for granted when the season began.
No.
In fact, we thought none of it was going to happen.
Yeah, correct. We were pretty down last year. I feel like this is deja vu with us in the last maybe 4 seasons where it just feels like we go through the same thing every single offseason, and then they start slow, and then they come back at the end of the year. Let's just hope that they start fast this year.
You know what's funny? Maybe they will start it a little faster, but you know what's funny? The 1 year in the last, half dozen years that I remember the Padres being the biggest offseason winner in baseball was before what season? 2023.
Oh, what?
And
I was thinking Manny, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm going to 2023. When that season started, the Padres were gonna beat out the Dodgers. They made the best acquisitions. They had Juan Soto for a full season now.
Yep.
They had Blake Snell come. They had so much of everything on paper. They had piled together an all-star caliber group, and I'm leaving a few names out because it's it's off the top of your head. You forget every roster. But I know that 2023, the offseason had people talking parades and rings and world championships, and we know that team didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I also got ahead of myself last year, picking out my parade route spot that I was going to be in. But yeah, you're
We
right.
were
You're
trying
right.
to talk it into existence last year.
We had an embarrassment of riches 2 years ago in the off season,
did.
and now I think we just have to all calm down, which is the hardest thing for me to do. I will preach patience, and in Padres Pen Pals, a few people call me out for my so-called patience, but I'm going to be patient. Woosah.
I'm going to try to be anyway.
Woosah.
All right. We will have a Padres Pen Pals later in Gwynn and Chris continues. Welcome to the Wednesday show, everybody, on 97.3 The Fan.
We want to treat you to a night in our company suite with 20 tickets for you and your friends.
No way! Are you kidding me?
Okay, happy to be underway. Happy to have you with us on 97.3 The Fan, San Diego's #1 sports talk station. Chris Ello. Matt Skraby today. Tony Gwynn Jr. is idle this week. We soldier on without him. Of course, we welcome all of those. We don't mention it often anymore, Skraby. We kind of just take it for granted, but we should remind everybody, just in case they aren't aware of it. You might be newer to the show, but you can watch the show on YouTube. We stream it live every day, and you can actually sit there on your computer or your phone, wherever it is, and enjoy the show that way.
Yeah.
Go to YouTube and YouTube. What is it? YouTube channel?
Just go to YouTube. Just go to youtube.com and search 97.3 The Fan, and you'll be able to find it. You could, if you want to log in today, you could see my bad hair day that I'm having.
Are you having a particularly bad hair day?
Well, I ran out of the stuff I used to keep it in place, and so by the end of tonight, it's going to be sticking up all different ways. So if you want to see that,
you have stuff. You have product. Your hair. You use product in your hair.
I just use what is it called? Like a pomade? Is that what it's called? Pomade, where you rub it in your hands and then I rub it in my hair.
Have you seen my hair? You're asking me whether it's called pomade.
Well, that's why I'm talking to you about
it.
I figured you were the reigning expert on
I am
hair.
not. I've never put anything in my hair other than maybe some shampoo. That's pretty much.
You know what? I should have asked Tony. He does go get a haircut, so. And every time both Chris and I look at him like, you got a haircut, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, and it cost him like $50. I'm like, I got to get that job.
I know, right?
Give me $50. I'll give you a haircut.
Anyway.
All right. We will get, as the show goes on today, we will get into the Houdinis of college basketball, the San Diego State Aztecs, who rescued another victory from the jaws of certain defeat last night in San Jose.
It's a theme now. This is just what this team does.
It's starting to be a theme. Yeah, I know. I believe Nick Boyd, who was one of the heroes of that win last night, is going to be on the show tomorrow. So,
yeah, scheduled for 4:20, I believe.
You Aztec fans, make sure you tune in. But we'll talk about that game last night. I have a few things, and I enjoyed it immensely because they ended up with a win. But before we went to break, I talked about Kylie McDaniel, who was an ESPN insider, Skraby, expert, whatever
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this before. Like, you and I don't go on the radio every day and go, it's Gwynn and Chris Ello, sports expert, Tony Gwynn, Padre insider, Matt Skraby, all-around good guy.
I think that's that's all I get is all-around good guy.
You're all-around good guy. But
I think
these
that's
guys on
because...
ESPN are like, they write a story and all of a sudden they're an expert. They're a this, they're a that. What do they do to get those titles?
I think ESPN is forcing them into it to give them some sort of
it's like a
authority.
Credibility thing.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
like you're more credible if we call you an expert.
But I would say that if we called up Kylie McDaniel and we asked him about contract situations for the Padres, he would know more than other people about it because he's kind of like a contract guy. He does delve very deeply into all of this. So today his story was winners and losers of baseball's offseason. Now, I'm not going to waste any time even telling you who the winners were. You know who they are. They were the Dodgers. They were the Mets. And surprisingly, he said the Tigers. He thought the Tigers had a very good offseason. The addition of Jack Flaherty, Alex Cobb, Gleyber Torres, and some good young players, he says, that are coming up through the system. So the Tigers were his other winner. In the losers category, right at the top of the list, is your San Diego Padres, Skrabe.
Here's a concept. Bite me.
That's right, Ted. You tell him. Here's what Kylie McDaniel said, and then we'll kick it around, Skraby.
Okay.
He said it was pretty widely known that the Padres had a number of pending free agents and not a lot of payroll flexibility. So they weren't expected to have a loud winter. That said, they've done almost nothing, merely re-signing Elias Diaz and adding Jason Hayward and Connor Joe on one-year deals to platoon left field. At the same time, and this is kind of a scary list, I must say, at the same time, they've lost Tanner Scott, Jurickson Profar, Kyle Higashioka, Donovan Solano, Martin Perez, David Peralta, and Hassan Kim to free agency. Not to mention Joe Musgrove will be out for the year. The Padres are projected to be a couple of million over the lowest luxury tax threshold, and that might well be the target. So I wouldn't expect them in the way of additions much the rest of the winter. Now that is his report on what he says is a lousy offseason for the Padres. Here's the thing, Skrabe. He didn't even mention the most devastating thing that happened this offseason, and that was not getting Roki Sasaki. He didn't even put that in there.
At least he's ready to move on, I should.
I guess he's ready to move on. He also didn't mention the unrest at the moment with the ownership situation and the lawsuits.
Thank you for that, Kylie.
Right, we could say thank you. But the point is, those two are things that also were part of this offseason. So, I'm not going to be, even though Ted said correctly what he said.
Here's a concept, bite me.
Yeah. I can't really say that to Kylie McDaniel. I think it's fair. The Padres have had a tough offseason. But that does not translate into always what happens in the regular season is my point.
I agree with you. I mean, as hard as it is to read all that, truth hurts. And the truth here, I mean, they have the only team that hasn't spent money, the Marlins, and even I believe the Brewers have spent $900,000 this offseason.
No, the other team that did not sign a player, well, the Padres did sign a player.
Was it Rockies?
No,
I'm saying how much they've spent in the offseason.
Right. No, the one team that did not sign anybody to free agent was the Cardinals. And they're on his list as well. He also mentioned the Braves. Those were the three teams that he said were big losers.
How can the Marlins not be a big loser? They did not sign anyone good. I was just reading a whole article the other day about how the GM said going into the offseason, we're going to be big spenders in free agency, and they're going to have a lower payroll this coming year than they did in 2005.
Because it's hard for the worst team in baseball to have a bad offseason. They're already as bad as it gets.
Well, you're just pushing the ball, or you're pushing that snowball downhill by continuing to throw out bad teams. You're never going to break the cycle.
I will point this, the final line of his article. And finally, the Rockies continue to tread water with no direction, dropping their payroll by $24 million. Fangraph's depth chart has Colorado has the worst team in the National League by a wide margin. So we'll see how that works out.
The Rockies, it doesn't make me feel good that Dick Monfort, who owns the Rockies, and John Fisher, who owns the A's, is on the executive committee for Major League Baseball. I mean,
that makes you wonder with the direction of Major League Baseball.
On the chat, they said even the A's spent money. And yes, the only reason they did those because they had to. They
had to get over the luxury tax minimum, right?
Yes, that's why they spent money.
And did they really spend it wisely? I mean, really, you're going to give a gazillion dollars to Luis Severino and expect him to take you to the promised land? I mean, come on.
That was interesting for sure.
Yeah. So, all right, Padres. Look, it's Hayward, it's Connor Joe, but hopefully it's somebody we don't know about. They got a lot of interesting non-roster players. A couple of them were big stars in the Korean baseball organization, the KBO. Does that translate? I don't know. I'm not really sold on that league being able to contribute right away at the major league level yet. Are you, Skraby? I mean, it even took Hassan Kim a year to figure it out.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time. It's not something that you just come over here. We've seen this with Yamamoto. We've seen this with a lot of different players, not just
Yamamoto's from the Japanese leagues, which is above the Korean league.
Yeah, but they're still going halfway across the world away from home type of thing. I understand that. But do you want to hear from Mike Schilt? Now or later?
No, I do. I'm sorry. I'm glad you reminded me. Mike Schilt did meet with the media today, and I thought with the addition of Hayward and Connor Joe, people would want to hear, me included, what he said and how he plans to use these guys.
Yeah, I've got some history with Jason. I mean, listen, the guy's a winner. Clearly won a World Series with the Cubs. Been, on a lot of postseason teams in his career. Virtually every year he's in the postseason, so you're talking about a winning player. I was with him in St. Louis in 2015. came up at the end of that year, and he's just he's a proven guy, a real pro, and he's clearly going to get the opportunity to go play and take the opportunity in the left field that we have, and he's excited to be here, and we're excited to have him. So it's a really good addition, especially this late in the offseason. And then Connor Joe, local kid that has been able to play all over the field. So, he'll be in that mix a little bit as well, but he also has played first base, and we do have more of a DH spot open as well. So, there's multiple different paths for Connor, and again, I'm really excited. I won't put words in his mouth clearly, but a guy that homegrown guy that's going to be able to have some home games. So, plus makeup, plays the game right, and it'll be a good addition.
All right, so that's what he had to say about that. But Chris, can I just stop down and remember this moment? We got our first 2025 clip with a golf cart in the background.
I heard it.
First clip of 2025, golf cart in the background. You can't do it better than that.
You can't do an interview unless there's a golf cart nearby.
Or the golf cart has to be reversing as you're doing something.
Beep, beep, beep.
You know why I was listening to the golf cart is because Mike Schilt told me nothing.
He's our guy, though, Mike Schilt. We love him.
I know that. And
it's only the first day. Let's at least love Mike Schilt today.
Answers.
You can't handle answers.
I can't handle the truth. That is for sure.
That is right.
I mean,
all right, we'll take a break.
Tell us anything. So.
No, more baseball. Our guy Scott Miller is going to join us. All-around baseball guy. Get some of his off-season thoughts and how he thinks that'll translate to 2025, most specifically with the Padres. When Gwynn and Chris continues.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
And this is Live Your Life from Article Sound System, released 5 years ago.
Otherwise known as ass.
All right, welcome back to Gwynn and Chris. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., idle today. Matt Skraby holding down the fort in the Odyssey Palace studios. Full 4 hours for you today. Started off with, hey, it's pitchers and catchers. Today's the day, man. Spring training has sprung.
Put me in, coach.
Yeah.
I'm ready
you know
to
what?
play.
That's a great song for, like, if you're ever running around in center field at a softball game, that song can go through your mind.
Of course it does.
I'm in center field, man. What a great place to be.
Center field. Is that Fogarty?
Yeah. It's John Fogarty,
Okay.
who was a part of the somewhat famous group. Now, you know me, I blank out sometimes.
The Fogarty Bros?
No. He was part of, they did,
Wilson Phillips?
all right, I'll have to look it up because somebody out there screaming it. Just please put it in the chats and
Okay.
get me out of my misery. It's a really popular group that I never really cared much for, but
CCR.
I always like, yeah, there we go. Creedence
Creedence
Clearwater
Clearwater,
Revival.
yeah.
Thank you for sending that
That was
in.
Jax.
Thank you, Jax. Yeah, no, Fogarty, I never really liked CCR, but I always loved that song, Center Field. We do have a couple of quick Padre notes to tell you on opening day. Stephen Kolek has been told, or he has told us, or they have told us.
Mike Schilt told us.
Mike Schilt told us that Stephen Kolek is going to be stretched out, and they are going to put him in the running for a starting position in the rotation. So that is something.
We're going to have to kick that
keep
around
an
a
eye
little
on.
bit because it's interesting. I don't hate it.
No, look, you need starting pitching. Rook, if the season starts right now, you're going to go with King, you're going to go with Cease, right? Darvish, Waldron, and Vasquez. I don't see any different way it would work at the moment. But, yeah, so you got to put some other people in contention for it. Did you whisper something to me?
Yes, I'm calling our guy Scott real quick. We're in two different spots.
I thought you whispered another name to me, and I didn't hear it. But no, I think Kolek, we'll see. I mean, the other news was that they're going to keep Hoying in the long reliever role.
I also like that.
Yeah, he's not going to be tried to move him into a starter, but Kolek is. And the other thing is somebody, and this is right up your alley, Skraby, somebody tweeted out this morning with all the confidence in the world that Dylan Cease was not expected to show up on the opening day of Padres Spring Training camp. And no, they did.
Wait, who said this?
I don't know. It was on Twitter somewhere.
Okay.
And it said Dylan Cease is not, according to our sources, this whole thing.
Yeah.
Dylan Cease will not be. And then Sam Levitt took a picture of Dylan Cease and wrote, yeah, keep on trying, pal, or whatever Sammy wrote.
That's so dumb.
Yeah, I know. Stuff like that just really, this is what gives, there's some people on Twitter that are actually breaking some good news. Yeah. You know what I mean?
There are also people that are just trying to start parody accounts that confuse everyone.
Right. So you have to be aware. But yes, no, Dylan Cease was definitely there today and ready to roll. So that is pretty much the newsworthy items of the opening day of Pitchers and Catchers Report. Is our guy Scott with us?
Yes, he is.
Oh, man. This guy, I can't thank him enough for coming on the show, helping us kick off spring training. There's nobody I'd rather hang out with than my old colleague at the Los Angeles Times, San Diego edition, Scott Miller. A man that is such a great writer, Skraby, that he has gone on in his career to actually be a sports writer, where I had to get out of the business because I wasn't good enough.
They're like, just let this guy flap his gums because anything he writes is not very good. I'm just kidding.
No,
Chris.
Scott Miller can write, man. And we're great to have him on. Hey, Scott, how are you?
Hey, Chris, real good. Very nice. And don't undersell yourself. You could write as well, my man, and I will never forget your last story at the LA Times before you went off to Pasadena. It was Pasadena Star News, right?
That's right. And thanks to the late Craig Stanky, who was our editor, who for the one time in his life let me keep my story the way it was. Skraby, did you ever hear the story of my last story?
No, what is your last story?
My last story was some insignificant high school baseball game. And I made the story 11 paragraphs long. And the first letter of each paragraph, if you spelled out my last story.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is something
was
that
awesome.
you would do. That is something that you would do.
That is something
Very
that only I
clever.
would do, right?
That is cool. That is cool.
Yeah, so it was what do they call those now? Cookies, I think they call those little hidden things.
Easter eggs.
Easter eggs, yes, thank you. I said wrong. As usual, I'm trying to sound like I know what's going on.
A cookie's on the internet, Chris.
Hey, cookies on the internet. All right, Scott Miller, baseball is here. That is always a good day. Give me your just overall rating of the off season. A thumbs up for baseball this year? I mean, it seemed like a lot was going on.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously most of it via the Dodgers. And, I mean, a thumbs up in terms of several things, like Roki Sasaki kept baseball in the news most of the winter. It was a lot more exciting for some teams than for others, no doubt about it. And we saw the salary disparities increase. I mean, eventually somebody somewhere is going to have to do something about, the Dodgers spending, what they're spending and what's the stat? I can't, all these dollar signs begin to run together, but it's something along the lines of the Dodgers. I think their payroll this year might be more than the aggregate payroll of the American League Central Division or National League Central Division. So it's crazy.
Yeah, maybe both of those divisions, Scott. Who knows?
Yeah, but I will say this. I mean, as much as the Dodgers are taking heat, people are like, oh, they're overspending, and what now they're just showing off. Why do they need Kirby Yates after everybody else they've signed? I will say this. They're playing by baseball's rules. And I'll stick up for the Dodgers from the simple, and I know that's heresy in San Diego, but hear me out. The reason I'll stick up for the Dodgers is simply this. They're not cheating. They're playing by the rules. And tied in with that, good for their ownership for wanting to win. You look across the game, it happens every winter, but you can probably pick out 5 or 6 organizations that this year that are actually trying hard to win. And then maybe that's out of 30. And after 5 or 6, you could probably come up with another 3 or 4 that are kind of trying to win. And the vast majority, it's a lot of lip service, and they're trying to make sure that they don't lose money and they make money, et cetera, et cetera. But that's why I credit the Dodgers. I mean, you would want, if you're a fan, be it in San Diego, and we've been spoiled here, we can get into that in a minute, but, kudos to the Padres for all they've done in the last few years in the trying to win department, because God knows before the current ownership group came in, we had a lot of years in San Diego where they really weren't trying to win. So my point is, whether you're in San Diego, in Detroit, in Cincinnati, in Miami, any location in the country, wouldn't you want your ownership, if you're a fan, whoever your ownership is, wouldn't you want them to try to win as badly as hard as the Dodgers owners are trying to win? And that's why I say good for them.
It's interesting, Scott, because immediately after Roki Sasaki signed with the Dodgers, I had a friend who's living in Cincinnati who is a big Reds fan, and he immediately texted me, what is the point of any other team trying? Because no one can catch up with these guys. And I think that is the big problem for some of these other teams, that they never compete. They probably won't compete. So, like, as a fan, how can you said it, they got to figure it out, but I don't know how they're going to be able to figure it out.
Yeah, and it's funny, Matt, you mentioned Cincinnati. I've got an old high school buddy from Michigan that lives in northern Kentucky, and he's still a Tigers fan, but he's come to like the Reds as well. And same thing. I was talking to him on the phone, I think it was after the Sasaki thing, and he asked me the exact same question. He's like, I live here. You know me, I'm a Tigers fan, but I also am a Reds fan, and I live here, and how in the world is Cincinnati ever supposed to compete? And under baseball's current economic rules, it's hard to explain how they can compete. So it's a legitimate question, and it is a problem that baseball's going to have to address. And you're hearing a lot of chatter that, already the war drums banging off in the distance. The collective bargaining agreement ends after next season, after 2026. Already there are rumors and there's talk that, the owners will lock the players out after 2026 because of they really want a salary cap. And I have no doubt the owners want that. But that said, this is what they fight about all the time. That's what led to the 94-95 strike. It was so ugly that they canceled the 94 World Series. The owners always want a salary cap so that they can make sure all 30 owners are controlled, as opposed to a few going rogue like the Dodgers owners and spending like crazy. So they want a salary cap. The Players Union, probably the strongest union of any union in the country by far, and always has been, no chance they're going to accept a salary cap ever. So they've got to get creative, to answer your question, Matt, on how do you shrink the economic disparity between the mega rich and the have-nots. And I think, to me, they're going to have to get creative, in the best way to do it, because I just don't ever see a salary cap. Rob Manfred, the commissioner, has talked recently about baseball, as other sports are. They're in the process of kind of revamping the whole television structure, because cable is just about dead and everything's moving to streaming. So Manfred has talked about, baseball's never going to be like the NFL. NFL just has national TV deals and radio, TV at least. So they can just split all the TV money among 30 teams. Well, the Yankees, baseball still got regional, even with streaming, regional networks. The Yankees are not going to allow all of their Yankees entertainment system, or whatever the heck YES stands for, their YES network. They're not going to allow millions and millions to be siphoned away. But that said, I think the commissioner, they're going to have to revamp the streaming TV money to a degree, and not take everything away from the Yankees and the Cubs and the Red Sox that have the big mega TV networks, but maybe get a little more money from them and get them to kick into, whether it's revenue sharing or whatever, more, and try to close some of the disparity by redistributing some TV money. And then there are other things they can do, like, the revenue sharing that's in existence, raise that, try to get the rich teams, give the poor teams a little more money. That's, I think, how they're going to have to figure it out, being creative in that way, the TV streaming, the revenue sharing, other forms of income, rather than the salary cap.
Scott Miller is with us. It's baseball time, people. Pitchers, catchers reporting today. And one thing you said in there, Scott, was that baseball wants all 30 owners to have the same limit and not allow rogue owners like the Dodgers to do what they're doing. But the other argument, as you pointed out earlier, was the actual rogue owners are really the Rockies and the A's and those teams who aren't trying to win. And that is the big problem with baseball. Let me ask you about the Padres real quick, Scott, while we have you. Obviously, their offseason did not go the way they wanted. Sasaki got away. Can a team that lost Tanner Scott, Jurickson Profar, Kyle Higashioka, Donovan Solano, Martin Perez, Hassan Kim, David Peralta, and then some, be still successful with the people that are still coming back and just surrounding them with a different cast?
I think they can be, Chris, because, and I said this last year too, a lot of people a year ago were really down on, oh my God, they traded Juan Soto. And I said at the time last year, and I'll maintain it this year, sometimes when you trade a superstar like a Soto, you can, if you're smart, and AJ Preller's proven his mettle over the years, you can fill in and you go out and get parts, and sometimes that ends up being better than what you had. I don't know if this year's Padres is going to be better than last year's, because obviously those are some key losses you mentioned. But I do think that Preller's, as I said, he's proven his mettle. He's creative. I don't think they're anywhere near done. I think they're going to make a couple moves, whether it's to get a pitcher or whatever during spring training. I mean, you saw last year, they acquired Dylan Cease on the eve of the trip to Korea late in spring training. And then they acquired Luis Ariz after the season had started. And I think as he remakes the roster, I think you're going to see a few moves like that. Ken Rosenthal, my buddy, and everybody knows him from Fox Sports TV and The Athletic. He had an interesting column in The Athletic the other day with a statistic caught my eye. As quiet as the Padres offseason has been, and part of it is because they need to redistribute their payroll, right? They haven't made a lot of moves because they've said publicly they're going to be in the ballpark of last year's payroll. They're saying they're not going to cut a bunch. Also, they're a little hamstrung because of the raises this year. Fernando Tatis Jr. or whatever goes up to $18 million. Other guys go up. So the statistic in Rosenthal's column, as boring as it's been in San Diego, and everybody's upset they haven't made any moves. Do you know, and this is based obviously on some raises the Padres have done, but this is what A.J. Preller and company are dealing with. Boring, yes. Slow off season. Yet, the Padres ranked third this winter going into spring training behind Baltimore and Detroit as the third largest payroll jump. Baltimore's payroll this year, is up 56% from last year, according to Ken's research. Detroit's payroll this year is up 37% from last year. And third in the majors, out of 30 clubs, the Padres' payroll is up 21% from last year. So while people are upset they're not going out and getting guys and spending money, their payroll still is third in the game in terms of percentage raised from last year to this year. So what they've got to do, and that's why I won't be surprised if, for example, they traded Dylan Cease and try to make it a Juan Soto type package. You get 3 or 4 guys back, a couple of arms that hopefully can help this year, and then you've got a little more depth than just one guy. But they do have a problem in covering starters' innings. They've got some bodies, but they need some guys to come through.
For sure. Well, one guy that always comes through for us is Scott Miller. We appreciate it. It's been a great friendship over the years, and I'm glad it gets to continue from time to time on the show. Scott, we'll see you out at the ballpark, of course, this year. Stay well, and look forward to catching up with you as soon as we can.
Will do, and we'll look forward to seeing you at the ballpark, Chris, and you too, Matt, and everybody else. Won't be that much longer now. It's amazing. Opening day, March 27th or whatever it is. It's only 5 or 6 weeks away.
Love it.
Love it. Thank you, Scott. Scott Miller right there, talking a little baseball. Did you know that statistic, Skraby? See, I stopped listening when he said Ken Rosenthal.
So did I,
But
Chris.
then what?
It says so did I.
Oh yeah, but then when he brought up the fact that the Padres actually had an increase in payroll, third most in the majors, that ought to be something that fans should at least consider before they jump up and down all the time and say, well, what about the price of my ticket, and what about this and that and the other, and the team is not really putting anything into the product for me. It's really not true. It's really not true. They are putting things into the product.
Part of me says that's just the cost of doing business with great players. If each year they're going to get more expensive. That's part of me says that. The other part of me says, yeah, they did have raises. They do have to pay more players. And I'm stuck right now. I'm stuck on the who cares? Just spend the money. Just spend the money.
Skraby says spend. You hear that, front office?
Take it out of my salary.
That will be able to buy maybe a half season of a Bat Boy.
I don't even know if it's half a game of a Bat Boy.
More Gwynn and Chris coming up. Daily Gambit starts hour number 2. Two gets rolling here from my home office in Las Vegas today. Matt Skraby keeping down the holding down the fort in San Diego at the Odyssey Palace Studios. Tony Gwynn Jr. idle. We got another 3 hours to go, and then Matt Skraby will take over on the Skraby Chronicles coming up a little bit later today.
I have an update on that real quick. So
what you got?
I have been neglecting my responsibility as a host that said something on the air weeks ago. I said I was going to try beaver nuggets on the air today from that Bucky's I guess it's called, what is it called? Rest stop. And so I will be trying these today. I have them, people. This is going to happen on the Skraby Show.
You've been threatening to do that for a while.
I know, and then they took forever to get to me, but now that they got to me, then I forgot them at home. But I made sure I put these in my car last night so I didn't forget them again. But I have
Some of the most popular segments in the history of this very show is you eating something. So I have a feeling it'll be a big crowd favorite tonight.
I'm honestly not sure about these things. They look strange.
If you call in sick tomorrow to work tomorrow, I'll understand why.
Okay.
We want to thank again Scott Miller for joining us. Talk some baseball there in the first hour of the program. Indeed, spring training has sprung. Pitchers and catchers report today, and to that end, somebody tweeted out a very simple tweet today, Skraby. The tweet said, "Baseball season is here." And then somebody, being comical, wrote back to that tweet, "The worst news in the world for Anthony Rendon." Being that it's baseball season.
Oh, duh. I was like, where's the joke? Where's the joke? That's the joke. Well, no, this is
the joke.
No,
yes,
this is the best time of the year for him. He makes money for doing nothing.
And then I come to see, like, no more than an hour later that the man is having hip surgery and he's not going to play for another year and a half or something.
Well, that's when his contract is up.
This is one of the great heists in the history of sports. There's no
heist
question.
Is a proper word for this. And we were just looking. I was looking into his stats. He signed a 7-year, $245 million deal in 2020. That year, prorated, he made $10 million. The rest of his career, he's made 28, 36, and then 4 straight years of 38.5. He has not played more than 60 games in a season since he was with the Nationals in 2019. Now, the 2020 season, 60-game season, he did play 52. But the next 4, 58, 47, 43, and 57. Forget Zion. Forget Ben Simmons. Forget all the guys I get mad at all the time for being hurt. Anthony Rendon should be the poster boy for stealing money.
He's the champion. He's the champion. There's no question. In 4 years, he's played exactly 205 games. And not only that, he's been incredibly unproductive. Like, he's done absolutely nothing in those 205 games. So There's that's got to be one of the worst contracts, if not the worst ever signed.
You know, Adam on the chat says Strasburg was the same way. Why doesn't anyone mention his huge deal? I think when Strasburg got his deal, it was coming off of the World Series. I mean, the Nationals really didn't need to give him all that money, did they?
Here's the thing with Strasburg. Steven Strasburg never came out and said, I don't really like baseball that much. It's not a big deal to me. Like Anthony Rendon did. We all know, at least most of us have followed the game, that Steven Strasburg did everything humanly possible to get himself back on the mound. He had some unbelievably crazy nerve damage situation in his arm and shoulder that absolutely prohibited him from ever being able to throw again. This is a completely different situation from a guy that is sitting out with various bumps and bruises to the tune of over 800 games missed in the last 5 years. So I'll give you credit for trying, but I'm not going to go there because Strasburg cared. Anthony Rendon gives off the impression that he simply does not care. And maybe that's unfair, but that's the way people perceive it.
Can't say
and I know that's the way Skraby perceives it.
I don't like it when guys take big deals. Obviously, Steven Strasburg is someone who lives in town and, has been in here before. And like you said, it's hard to be mad at someone who has a career-ending injury. But when you're Anthony Rendon, like you said, he's fighting fans. It's just not a good look.
It's been poor all the way around. All right, let's get into it. Since I'm in Las Vegas, let's get into some daily Gambit stuff, Skrabe.
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo! If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Well, nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in The Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Please, everybody, gamble responsibly. If you're joining us on YouTube, Chris is apparently an angel in heaven because the light on his face is great.
Oh, yeah?
Everybody is saying that they're jealous of your sunlight because right now it is pouring here in San Diego.
Yes, I know. I'm trying to switch the camera to keep the sun kind of...
No, you're good. We're jealous of
weird.
it, is what we're saying.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of sun in Las Vegas, and I heard that it was really raining and pouring there in the Intercom network. So be careful. Be careful, Skrabe.
Wow, it's raining really hard. This is... being cool here on the Entercom Empire, so if you're sitting out there...
What? Oh, my goodness. That will never get not embarrassing for me.
The underrated part of that is Tony going, what?
Because Tony's like, your brain just broke, dude.
Yeah, that's the underrated part of that.
All right, here we go into the bets that Braden and I made yesterday. First one, it was all college basketball. Tennessee was at Kentucky. Tennessee 2.5-point favorites in this game. Kentucky... ended up winning this game 75-64, so I covered the bet because I chose Kentucky. Braden went Tennessee. Lamont Butler got injured again, though, in this one. He's had a tough year with injuries ever since he went to Kentucky.
I watched the first half, and I'm going to tell you what, Lamont Butler played fantastic. He looked like the old Lamont Butler, stepping in, stealing passes, locking down his man. But it was, you're right, he got hurt late in the game and did not return, so hopefully he's going to be okay. But you know what? Good for him. He's making, getting some money, which, he deserves. I mean, this guy gave it everything he had to San Diego State, and I do not begrudge him one bit going to take the bag, as Tony would say.
Well, I think we have to be happy for him. Even me, the hater of people taking the bag. Alabama at Texas. Braden said yesterday, this is a trap game! Trap game! Screaming trap game! Alabama favored by 4, Texas at home. We both chose Texas. I fell for his trap game stuff. Alabama crushed Texas 103-80. Not even close to a trap game. Trap game!
Yeah, Alabama's going to play Auburn this Saturday, number 1 versus number 2. That is why Braden thought it was a trap game, but it was not.
Next game is, I picked it for one reason, because UConn was in it, and I wanted to follow this game against Creighton in Nebraska. Creighton 4-point favorite. We both chose Creighton. Connecticut won by 4 points, 70-66. And on the way out, our favorite guy, Dan Hurley, basically told one of the fans, like, hey, what did he say, Chris? Like, I got 2 rings. He pointed to his rings.
He's mouthing off to the crowd as he's walking off the court. He's showing his ring finger. He's flashing the number 2.
To fans.
What an idiot. Just get out of my life, Dan Hurley, please.
Get out of my life.
God.
Well, we lost that one. The next one, Michigan, we're 2.5-point favorites over Purdue. I chose Purdue. Braden chose Michigan. Michigan did win the game, but they did not win by enough. They only won by 2, so I win that bet. And then finally, the Aztecs were 9.5-point favorites over the Spartans of San Jose State. And Braden chose San Jose State. I drank the Kool-Aid, went with the Aztecs. Aztecs win, but they did not win by enough, 69-66. And I know we're going to talk about that game probably in the next segment, Chris.
Yes, we are.
But,
yes, we will. We will definitely talk about it.
So I have one bet for you before you get into yours. I made a mistake yesterday, but Cal is at Duke, and 23.5-point favorites as of yesterday with Duke. So I'm going to make sure that spread is
that
good.
is in the list.
Okay, all right.
The reason I put it in there is because Cal should never be playing in North Carolina for like the 9th time this season.
I thought about you.
Stupid ACC.
I thought about
you. So
you.
just for that, I'm taking Duke minus 23. Who you taking?
Cal's pretty bad. I'm going to go with Duke. Cooper Flagg is really good.
Cooper Flagg is going to be the probable play. He might even be the whole player of the whole year.
Maybe.
Like best in the whole country.
Is he no-brainer number 1 overall draft pick?
It's looking that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're calling the race for the flag. They're calling it in the NBA.
Okay.
On the bottom teams. New Mexico is 15.5 at home over Wyoming. New Mexico's only lost 1 game in the conference this year. Having a great season. Wyoming is not nearly as good. What do you think here? The game is at the Pit in Albuquerque, Skraby.
You've told me how hard it is to play there.
It is.
I will say New Mexico, even though they're giving 15.5.
It is hard to play there. The one team that might be a little equipped is Wyoming because their altitude is worse than New Mexico's.
True.
I just see Wyoming. I see New Mexico thinking this is an easy game.
Okay.
And overlooking them just enough to keep it close. So I will take Wyoming there.
Wyoming.
Lakers are 9-point favorites at Utah. How lucky is it for Luka Doncic that his first 2 games as a Laker are both against one of the worst teams in the league?
Yeah, that's good timing.
Yeah, right. They beat Utah already. Now they go to Utah tonight. The Lakers are just crushing everybody in their path. I got to go with the Lakers until further notice.
Me too.
Even though it's 9 points.
I mean, they beat the Jazz, the other day by 20-something points?
Oh, yeah. Had no problem.
I'll go Lakers as well.
All right. And then one more here. This is a classic. Now, I don't know if you saw the score last night, Skraby, at halftime between Detroit and the Bulls.
Not at halftime, no.
Okay. Here was the halftime score. I kid you not. Detroit 71, the Bulls 29. That was the halftime score.
It just makes me giggle.
Is that incredible or what?
The Bulls seemingly can get worse when you think they can't.
Well, tonight, it's the same 2 teams in Chicago again.
Wow.
And the spread is only 6.5 points. Detroit is obviously favored. Detroit ended up winning the game last night by 40. Do you believe they win again tonight by at least 7, Skraby?
Yes.
I'm going to take the Bulls. They had to be embarrassed. They got to come back, show up tonight.
Do they even care?
I did read one stat from that game. The Bulls began the game 0 for 20 from 3-point range.
Can't win many games when you're not hitting anything.
No, that was pretty comical. One more, Golden State at Dallas. I bring it up because Dallas fans are crazy. We're going to talk about it later, I know, in the Big Five.
Yeah.
But Golden State favored by 6.5 at Dallas. I tell you what, Dallas has too many injuries. Jimmy Butler has given the Warriors a boost. I'll take Golden State.
Last time I went against Dallas, I'm going to go, Golden State.
Golden State. All right, there's our picks. Let's get you some traffic. When we come back, the Aztecs, Houdini act again. Don't complain about it, Aztec fans. We'll tell you why when Gwynn and Chris continues.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Don't forget, 5:30 today, Skraby will read off the name of the winner of today's biggest fan contest. So tune in. Hopefully you'll hear your name called. If so, you'll have 10 minutes to call back in and get qualified for the big prize, Skrabe. Night in the Odyssey Suite, watching a Padre ball game with 20 of your closest friends. If you're not yet eligible for that, get eligible. Take a minute to go sign up, 973thefansd.com/biggest fan. Before I get to the Aztec game last night, Skrabe.
Yes.
Cal Quantrill is the latest free agent pitcher who will not be a Padre. He has signed with the Miami Marlins.
So they did make a move.
The Marlins make a big move. This could change the balance of power in the NL East.
Yes.
Marlins spent $3.5 million, one-year contract for Quantrill.
See, these are the moves that I don't understand.
Like, you think the Padres should be in on that?
I would think so. Maybe because he played here before, they didn't get along or whatever. I don't know. I'm not saying that's the case. But $3.5 million for Cal Quantrill when you need starting arms seems like a pretty good option.
You like it. Here's what I'll just go on the other side for the hell of it. You're buying lottery tickets right now pretty much on all of these guys. So why don't you just try young guys that you have, guys that are, cheaper, guys that are trying to make their way, maybe guys already in your organization, or people you can even sign for less than $3.5 million. Why pay $3.5 million for a lottery ticket when you can get lottery tickets for a lot less than that?
Is Cal Quantrill a lottery ticket? I mean, you kind of...
What, you think he's a sure thing? The guy had a 5 ERA last year.
He pitched
granted,
let me follow it up. We pitched in Coors Field.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Okay,
but
good.
his career ERA is 4.07.
That's not terrible.
It's okay. All right, well, I don't hate Cal Quantrill, and if he came to the Padres back, I would have said, cool, I like it. But I think at this point, yes, I think he's a bit of a lottery ticket.
Okay. I'm looking, yeah, I mean, I can see why you would say that, but in 2022, just 2 short years ago, Chris, 3 short years ago, he pitched all 32. He started all 32 games, went 15-5, had a 3.38 ERA in 186 innings. So it's there somewhere. It's there somewhere.
And that's why he got $3.5 million, because he did that.
From another team, which is why I'm angry.
Aztec fans were mighty angry at halftime last night. Skraby, I want them all to know, all you Aztec basketball fans, I want you all to know that I went on Twitter at halftime last night. I read all of your destructive comments about the San Diego State basketball team.
Why did
and
you
how
do
this
that to
team
yourself?
was a disaster, and how this team had no effort, and how this team looked like they weren't even coached, and how this team was an embarrassment to the great tradition that we have built on the Montezuma Mesa. I read all of these comments yesterday at halftime, Skraby. Seemed like most of them were taken down about an hour after that.
Ah.
Because the Aztecs did it again.
You know what? If you're going to criticize someone, leave it up after your result doesn't match.
Yeah, I didn't find too many of those criticisms when the game was over. I don't know if people can take them down or what
you could
do,
delete it, but
yeah.
it's funny when I go back to my Twitter sometimes and I see someone had replied to me and they said something that wasn't very nice, and so I click on it and then it says this tweet has been deleted by the author. I'm like, okay, maybe some sense came to you.
Well, the Aztecs, look, they've been doing this all year. Would it be nice to just jump to a 20-point lead and beat the stuffing out of every team? Of course it would be. But this is a young team. Guath is a freshman. DeGorville is a freshman. Compton is a freshman. Some of these guys are still new to the program. B.J. Davis played like 12 minutes the whole season last year. Nick Boyd, although a veteran player, is still a transfer into the program. It takes time to put together championship teams. But the bottom line is, Brian Dutcher has some sort of miracle, magical touch that he's able to put on these kids, because I watched the first half too, and they were terrible. They had no energy. They had no effort defensively. They let San Jose State get whatever shot they wanted. Offensively, they didn't move the ball. They couldn't shoot it. They turned it over 12 times. It was as bad as it gets. And then they come out and start the second half on a 17-0 run and tie the game. And then something that I don't think people realize how tough this is to do. But when you're way behind like that and you come back, a lot of times it takes all of your energy to come back. And then you forget, hey, we still got to finish off the game and win. Well, you know what? The Aztecs did that. They not only came back, they overcame the deficit, but then they finished it and they won. And I couldn't be more delighted to be an Aztec fan of basketball, and what the pleasure I get from watching these kids compete and pull off these thrilling wins again, like last night. Do I want them to win by more? Of course. But, you know, I'm still smiling at the end of the evening, Skraby.
I know. You cried last year, so you must be smiling after
that was
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, so you must be smiling about these wins. I immediately got a pop-up on my phone. I keep calling it pop-up. Matt Skraby. It's a push notification. But I got that, and it said halftime score, San Jose State 37, San Diego State 20. I'm like, I'm not even going to watch the second half. But I did follow it on my phone, saw them start coming back. It was all good. This has nothing to do with the game, but San Jose State's gym is brutal to watch a game in on TV.
The color of that floor is awful.
It's like a high school gym where you can hear everybody talking, and then someone stands up and it gets in the camera view.
It is a high school gym. It's an actual high school gym. We play there. I know exactly what it is. It's difficult to play there when you're used to playing in big arenas. But, you know, the fact that they keep winning these games, you know, people are like, well, they're not as good as this. They're not as good as that. Well, I don't know what they're going to finish up being. But I know that if they get to the NCAA tournament, somebody's going to have to still beat them. And, you know, these kids they've accomplished a whole lot more than a lot of people thought they could, considering all the losses they have from a year ago. Don't forget, last year's team was Jaden Ledee pretty much, and he's gone.
Yeah, he's in the NBA now.
Well, anyway, Nick Boyd had a terrific second half. He'll be on the show tomorrow, so we'll be able to talk a little more Aztec basketball with him. But kudos to the Aztecs for another ridiculous rally in the second half last night to win. We've got more Padre discussion when we come back.
We got Sports Court.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
We have Sports Court. Padres Pen Pals is later.
Oh, I stand corrected, my friend. Open up the chambers. It is time for Sports Court on Gwynn and Chris.
Ben and Woods on the Fan.
Coming up Thursday, spring training. Sammy Jordan.
Tony Gwynn Jr.'s idol, Matt Skraby, is with us. I'm in Las Vegas. Skraby hanging out at the Odyssey Palace Studios in San Diego. We'll be back together tomorrow, Skraby, so don't fret.
Okay. I gotta say though, your technology working has been on point this week, so I can't complain.
Yeah, and the sun's kind of going down, but it was sunny in Las Vegas today, so it was kind of nice. I was going to show everybody a view of the Sphere outside my hotel window, but the glare is such that I don't think you'd really be able to see it too well. So can't really help you there, but it is pretty cool to see the Sphere right out the window here. The sports court is coming up here in a moment. Do you know what Sunday, Scrape? I don't know if you're into this as much as I am.
All right, let me know. Let me hear it.
Sunday is the 50th anniversary celebration show for Saturday Night Live. No interest.
I've never watched Saturday Night Live.
Never watched it.
No.
There's Chris Farley doing.
It's always been bad.
It's never been bad. Well, it's had moments of bad. But if the 50th year anniversary sketch is, and they show all the best sketches, it's going to be the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I may watch that though, like in a replay, just because it would help me figure out the history of Saturday
They're only gonna have the best sketches of all time.
Like more cowbell.
That's one of them. That is honestly one of them. Yes, that is normally thought of as one of the top 5 or 10 sketches.
And
for whatever
obviously
reason.
the Chris Farley, but they're not. Oh, they're going to replay it. So I was going to say they can't redo it,
no.
but
He won't be there. But they'll play Chris Farley Down by the River, Old Man Down by the River. There's some fun stuff.
I shouldn't have poo-pooed it so quickly. I just never watched it.
Yeah, that's interesting. There's a lot of generation. I mean, my generation, we grew up with the show.
Yeah,
and that was really the first time many of us were exposed to anything off color in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I can understand why it's a big deal for sure.
Yeah, it was kind of fun to watch something like that.
I've actually been to the studios when I went to New York.
Really? I've never have. Is it cool?
Yeah, it's cool. It's very cold in there. Very cold in those studios. But it's always funny when you walk into a TV studio because you think it's this huge space. It's never a huge space. It's tiny. It's just like 2 rooms basically.
Right. They get a lot done in a very small amount of space.
They do.
All right, let's get to, speaking of, we have a lot of space for today's sports court, so let's check traffic and open up the jury box.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic sponsored by Valvoline Instant Drive-Thru Oil Change, your trusted instant drive-thru oil change. Hopefully no one's in any big hurry to get anywhere this afternoon. It's kind of a messy ride. Southbound side of the 805 before La Jolla Village Drive, collision in middle lanes. Also south 805 before H Street, stalled car in middle lanes. You can find on southbound 5 at B Street, a collision over to the right shoulder. We've also got a stall partially blocking the mile of carsway off-ramp of northbound 5. West on the 8 before Lake Murray, clearing a crash out of that left lane. You've also got a collision on East 8 before the 15. It's in the center divide. An accident being cleared out of that right lane, eastbound 78 at Nordall Road. Stop by any of the 30 San Diego Valvoline instant oil change centers. You don't have to get out of your car. It usually only takes 15 minutes or less. Plus, get a free courtesy check of your tires and battery. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for directions and discounts. SoCalOilChange.com. And Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Do you have a sports issue, San Diego? Do you need a third party to make a decision? The guys have put on their robes and picked up their gavels.
All rise. Here comes the judge.
Gwynn and Chris Sports Court starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, a couple housekeeping items, and then we'll get into sports court. If you love Mediterranean food, try Spiro's for authentic Mediterranean cuisine in Coronado or La Jolla. For dining or takeout options, visit spiroscuisine.com. Also, tonight from 7 to 9 p.m., Inside San Diego Baseball, Sam Levitt is going to be coming to you from Peoria, Arizona. First day of spring training. He will have a show for you tonight, 7 to 9 p.m. You can go to the YouTube page and see that. Just search 97.3 The Fan. Sam's going to bring you everything that happened today at spring training. So,
and he will have a lot of interviews. I saw him doing Elias Diaz today, many of the other players. You know, Sammy, he gets in front of everybody.
It does.
And he'll pass all that stuff along to you guys. I have one TV note more for Sunday.
Okay.
while you're watching
Daytona 500?
No. One of my favorite shows is coming back on HBO, a third season of White Lotus.
Oh, yeah. I love White Lotus.
You like that show? Okay, I found one you like.
But I have to wait until it's over so I can just watch it through.
Oh, you don't like to watch it 1 week at a time?
No, I've caught up with FBI. I watched all 7 seasons of FBI, so
really?
I've caught up, and it's not the same. Like, I want to just immerse myself in that world.
You like to go show, okay, so you'll have to wait. But the first episode is this Sunday. That's a great show for those of you looking for a really good show.
Which one do you like more, season 1 or 2?
Close, but I give 1 a slight nod, but not by a lot.
Yeah,
They're
I agree.
both really good.
Season 1 was just like, I didn't know what to expect, but it was so much different than what I thought it was going to be. Season 1 was really good. Season 2 is good too, so I can't wait for this.
All right,
that's a good
there
call.
You go.
That's a good
You got
call,
2
Chris.
things you can watch Sunday on my recommendation out there.
And then 3 things, the Daytona 500.
I'm not going to recommend. Sorry, can't recommend that. I know I'll take all the hate mail from the auto racing people.
All right, let's get into it. I am wearing a wig. The mullet is really bothering me today. But
Let me see you. Let me see.
Yep, I'm just shaking my head
God.
around.
It especially looks good with your beard.
I know.
I think you got to go all in next time. You got to color your beard on Wednesdays.
You know, someone asked me when the last time I shaved my entire face, and it's been years. I was thinking about just doing it one day, but I don't want to.
Yeah,
I would feel weird. Anyway, we need to get into it now. I am wasting time with my beard talk. Here's the first one, Chris. I was watching the Olympics with my roommate one night, and this one's from Reddit. I was watching the Olympics with my roommate one night, and we were talking about breaking or breakdancing and how ridiculous it's in the Olympics. My roommate then said, "How can breaking be a sport but fishing isn't?" I told him fishing wasn't in the Olympics because it's a hobby and not a sport. This triggered him, and I didn't back down. We're in a fight. Chris, is fishing a sport or a hobby?
Ask the fish.
What do you think, Mr. Fish? I don't know. I'm just flopping on this dock.
I don't think they find it too interesting, myself. I don't think fish would be a fan of it as a sport.
That could be true.
Yeah, that usually comes to a poor end for them. Boy, I'm really the wrong guy to ask here. I'm not throwing this out of my courtroom, but I might have to ask for a change of venue here. And the reason is...
A change of venue?
Well, I'm telling you. I'm going to tell you why I need a change of venue. I despise fishing so much that I don't think I can even remotely come close to giving a fair decision on this issue.
Wow.
I mean, if you're going to make fishing an Olympic sport, you might as well make paint drying an Olympic sport. It's pretty much the same thing. You sit there for hours and hours and wait for something to happen. I can't do fishing as an Olympic sport, but that's just me. I think there are some others who would tune into it, so I think the argument is actually a fairly good one, but I'm going to have to send it on down the line here because I'm not a good person to ask. Sorry,
I have to be the mean guy here?
It's up to you, yeah.
If golf isn't a sport, then fishing is definitely not a sport.
But golf is a sport. It's in the Olympics.
No, not many people think that. You guys have argued that it's not a sport, it's a hobby as well. Fishing, to me, I don't like fishing either. My dad loves fishing, grew up fishing, every year takes a trip back to Wisconsin fishing.
I have nothing but good things to say about your dad. But in my mind, anybody who loves fishing also likes sitting around and pretty much doing a lot of nothing.
Yeah,
because that's what fishing is.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that.
That's all fishing is. You get your gear on, you string up your pole, you stick the line in the water, and then you do nothing. As a matter of fact, many times people just fall right asleep while they're fishing. How much of a sport is it? There's nothing for the viewer to watch.
Well, there is, because they have fishing shows, lots of fishing shows. It's not a sport, though. I don't think your physical prowess is going to catch you a bigger fish. I mean, isn't that what a sport is? you're really just getting lucky. I know you're putting yourself in good spots by knowing the area and the bait, but because you lift a bunch of weights doesn't mean you're going to catch a 75-pound fish. Like, it to me, it can be sport, but it's not a sport. How about that, Chris?
You're getting in more trouble with the fishing people than I'm probably getting in with them.
Probably.
Yeah.
Anyway, your video cut out, by the way, Chris, so I just let you know.
Forever and ever?
No, you're not there anymore, so it's just me and my fabulous wig on YouTube. Search 97.3 The Fan.
I wonder if the internet went
The
off.
internet is not great for your hotel.
I'm pretty sure the internet went off, so let me get reconnected.
Okay.
Hang on.
Adam says, BS, Skraby. If you're a bigger person, you most certainly can catch the bigger fish. Yes, but doesn't mean you are going to catch the bigger fish. You cannot command fish to come to your pole because you can bench press 800 pounds.
Haven't we seen pictures of like these 9-year-old kids with like 400 feet marlin before?
Yeah, the biggest fish I ever caught, it was really hard to reel that 140-pound halibut in. It was. It was almost not worth it. But it wasn't a sport. All right, next one. I'm a Padres fan and I dislike the Dodgers, but the amount of complaining I have seen this year makes me feel pathetic for supporting a team with crybabies as fans. I did not write this, everyone. I don't like the Dodgers, but I'm going to scream but I am not going to scream F the Dodgers all day, every day. I'm up first, Chris. Do you think it's childish for Padres fans to hate the Dodgers so much?
By the way, the fishing question totally short-circuited my laptop here. Now it's completely off and trying to restart, so
okay, we'll deal with
apologize.
No, we'll deal without it for now.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll have to deal without it for now.
Do I think it's childish for Padres fans to hate the Dodgers so much? I don't think it's childish, depending on what you do. If you want to say F the Dodgers, then say it. But it's all about respect when other people are around. If you're a Padres fan that's yelling in Dodgers fans' faces, I'm not for that. But if you just want to yell some Dodgers stuff when the Dodgers are in town or whatever, that's fine with me too. I don't think that Padres fans are childish for hating their rival. Chris?
Let me say that the funniest tweet I've ever seen is the Padre fan at Petco Park a few years ago celebrating turning and catching sight of a Dodger fan and in his face flipping him the bird. I know you've seen this.
Oh,
Skraby.
Yeah.
It's one of the funniest videos of all time.
Yeah, and every time we talk about it, someone reaches out saying that that's their cousin or someone knows
right.
them.
Yeah, whoever that person is has 5,000 cousins. But, it was funny. Having said that, I'm a little split here. And I don't want to, you can't get political because we're sports. But I'm tired of all the hatred we have already. And I know that sports is kind of the fun and games department where you're kind of allowed to hate without it really being hate. Do you see that? So I get the difference. But there's a part of me that just kind of would like to get back to where we could spend a little bit more time rooting for our teams rather than against everybody else's.
I can see that.
That's all I'm going to say.
That's
all I'm going to say on it.
All right. I can see that.
The hate thing is getting a little much for me at this point in time in our society.
There is a lot of hate happening right now.
There really is. And it's a shame.
It's all over the place.
Yes,
let's see. The fishing thing is taking a life of its own on the chat. Is hunting a sport?
I assumed it would.
Is hunting a sport?
I'll say the same thing. Ask the deer.
The deer don't like it. Okay.
They don't like it, I bet you.
All right, next one. We got to go quick. I took my son to his first NFL game. This was from Reddit. I took my son to his first NFL game, and we are starting to teach him financial responsibility. I paid for the tickets, but I had him pay for the parking. I found off-site parking for $50, but I said it actually cost $30, and he ended up paying it. Now, I thought this was me being a good father. My wife saw this as me being a cheapskate. I didn't even tell her because I truly didn't know this would be a big deal. My wife wants me to give the money back. I'm going to, but was my idea wrong, Chris?
Made his son pay for parking?
Yes.
How old's the son? Did I get that?
I did not say it. I believe, let's say in the range of 10 or 11.
Wait, the son's 11 years old?
That's I believe that's what he said earlier. I just forgot to put it into the recap I wrote.
And he made the son who's 11 years old pay $35?
$30.
It's ridiculous.
They're teaching him financial responsibility, Chris.
No kid, no 11-year-old kid has $35 to spare.
Have you ever? I mean, the kids
the dumbest
these
thing
days
I've ever
are.
heard.
Kids these days are demanding like $10 per tooth from the tooth fairy. Like what?
Really?
I got a quarter. Chris, you probably got a piece of wood or something.
I got a dime.
Wait, you got a better deal than I did.
Based on the inflation rate, maybe I did. I don't think this is a bad one.
You think this is a bad idea?
Yeah, I mean this is not fiscal responsibility. Making an 11-year-old kid come up with $35.
30.
Okay, even 10.
Katrina said, "I make my kiddo pay for stuff, but put it in an account for savings." Okay, that's good.
Yeah, that's a fair.
That's good.
Exchange. Yeah, I kinda like that.
Yeah, I think it's kind of weird to make your 11-year-old son pay $30, but I don't hate the financial responsibility. Maybe tell him how much everything costs so that he knows, but don't make your 11-year-old son spend his birthday money on parking for an NFL game. It's not his fault you decided to go. All right, last one. My kid won't stop watching scary movies, even though we have told him to stop watching scary movies. He loves scary movies, but he's also scared of everything after the scary movie. So guess what I did? I dressed up like Art the Clown, who's in a horror movie, and hid in his closet. I popped my head out of the closet. He saw me. He absolutely lost it. He ran down the hall to our master bedroom and for the last week refuses to sleep in his room, and I don't think he is ever going back. My wife would like for me to sleep on the couch. How long is my sentence? How long is a proper sentence for sleeping on the couch?
How old's this kid?
Again, I don't know, but young.
I mean, if the kid's 25 years old,
No.
then
I
it's
think
kinda
I think
stupid
they're
that
like, again, 10 to 13 maybe.
The wife is making him sleep on the couch for playing a prank on the kid, basically, right?
Yeah, this is a pretty hardcore prank, though, because Art the Clown is that clown shirt that I wear. This is why I saw this. He's kind of a scary clown. So he probably picked the worst character in the world to dress up as and then, like, scare your kid, but...
This is one night on the couch. Any further, I'm going to send you down to our marital relations courthouse.
I don't
Come
know
on.
if this is a
One day,
one-nighter. I don't know.
One day, make your point. Let's go.
I don't know if this is a one-nighter.
This was not well thought out by the husband, but
no,
the wife's being a little ridiculous. Come on.
I mean, the kid sleeps in their bed now for the past week, so he has nowhere to go. All right. That's it for the, what is this called? Sports Court. When we get back, we are going to play Chris versus the Fans. 833-288-0973 for your trip to qualify for a chance to win a trip. I already said that, to Las Vegas. More of that next. Things. It even tells you, hey, there's a canyon over here. Don't hit it here.
Skraby from about 45 feet. His caddy tells him to play it a little to the right. He's been playing well so far today. Fourth hole. Nice smooth delivery. Hit it too hard.
Sasquatch.
So Chris says that he can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Greg. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but can't help but be complimentary. Your shot making.
With my what?
Your shot making. You hit some.
These things. It even tells you, hey, there's a canyon over here. Don't hit it here. Skraby from about 45 feet. His caddy tells him to play it a little to the right. He's been playing well so far today. Fourth hole. Nice smooth delivery. Hit it too hard.
Sasquatch.
So Chris says that he can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Greg. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but can't help but be complimentary. Your shot making.
With my what?
Your shot making. You hit some.
These things. It even tells you, hey, there's a canyon over here. Don't hit it here. Skraby from about 45 feet. His caddy tells him to play it a little to the right. He's been playing well so far today. Fourth hole. Nice smooth delivery. Hit it too hard.
Sasquatch.
So Chris says that he can't play golf, but this is the second birdie putt he's made for us. This time it was like 20 feet.
Thank you very much, Greg. But once again, you're hitting some very nice shots as well. I'm not usually complimentary to you, but can't help but be complimentary. Your shot making.
With my what?
Your shot making. You hit some. Clock hour, we welcome you back to Gwynn and Chris Crisello from Las Vegas today. Tomorrow, I'll be back with Skraby at the Odyssey Palace Studios right there in San Diego. Tony Gwynn Jr. taking a little time off before he gets ready to embark on the 2025 baseball season. Pitchers and catchers did report today in Peoria. You will hear a lot of what Mike Schilt had to say
and others a little bit later in the program. And for those of you who want even more Padre coverage, don't forget, after the Skraby Chronicles tonight at 6 o'clock, you got Sam Levitt's Inside Padre Baseball Show coming to you from Peoria at 7 o'clock this evening. So you will get all of the Padre news. The big baseball news, if there is such a thing today, Cal Quantrill is off the board. He has been signed by the Miami Marlins. All right, Aztecs basketball won last night in a thriller, one that the fans had all but given up on, and they were down 17 points at the half. You know, Ben Higgins was even a little negative in some of his posts on Twitter last night, Skraby.
I heard you went at him on Twitter.
Well, I didn't go at him. I tried to get him to put it into perspective, which is that, you know, because he said it was the worst half of basketball he's ever seen by an Aztec team. And I tried to explain to him that that first half was something we used to see pretty much on a daily basis back in the day.
Not anymore.
But not anymore. They played a hell of a second half, though. And as we said earlier, Nick Boyd will be on the show tomorrow at about 4:20 for you Aztec basketball fans. All right, Scrape, ready to get to today's battle of trivia knowledge?
I am.
Otherwise known as Chris versus the fans.
If you had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself,
howdy do.
Now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, let's do this. We'll tell you, if you win Chris versus the fans, you're going to qualify for the new Las Vegas residency with Motley Crue live at at Dolby Live at Park MGM March 28th through April 19th. You will be qualified for a chance to win a trip to Vegas to see the show live, including 2 tickets to the show, plus a hotel stay at Park MGM. Get your tickets to Motley Crue, the Las Vegas residency at Dolby Live at Park MGM now at Ticketmaster.com. Also, if you win, you will win a pair of tickets to the San Diego Legion home opener at Torero Stadium this Sunday. Get tickets now at sdlegion.com/tickets. Now, the rules. You have to make it through 3 questions. Each question will get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get it wrong and Chris gets it right, you're eliminated. But if Chris gets it wrong, then you move on to the next question or you win. If you're a first-time player, let us know before you get into it, and you will get that question for free today. Let's start with Tara. Hello, Tara.
Hey.
Are you ready to play, Tara?
I'm ready.
Okay. Are you... Is there something else you need to tell me?
I'm a first-time player.
There we go. Thank you very much, Tara. Here we go. Question number 2.
Hang on, Skraby.
What?
Celebrate the fact she's a first-time player.
I did. I said we're going to question number 2.
Excited. Good to have you with us, Tara.
Player. There you go, Chris. Are you happy now?
I'm happy.
All right, Tara. What 2 teams are going to be starting the Major League Baseball season in Tokyo, Japan?
Japan 2025.
Those are Google keywords.
And Tigers?
Tigers.
Dodgers and Tigers.
Sorry, stay there though. I don't know.
Tara,
Chris...
were you getting assistance, Tara, from somebody?
No.
No. Well, she said Tigers, so.
No, I was going to say, if you're getting assistance from somebody, you got to fire that person because they told you that. Didn't tell you right. Dodgers, Cubs. Skraby.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Tara.
Sorry, Tara. So good to have you on, though. Call again. You never can.
Whoops, I'm sorry. No, Chris is right.
Jesus,
Sorry.
God, you're buzzing, you're beeping, you're
I know.
all over the place.
I know. I always go for the first-time players, but
I know.
We get them knocked out sometimes, too. Thank you, Tara, for calling.
And sometimes they win.
Let's go to Wyatt. Hello, Wyatt.
Hey, Wyatt.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Not
Very
too
good,
bad.
Sir.
You ready to play?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Let's see. What team does Bobby Witt Jr. play for?
He's on the Kansas City Royals.
That is correct. I don't know what I'm going to do, Chris, without him on my fantasy team this year. I am going to be in trouble.
I think the second question ought to be, what teams did Bobby Witt Sr. play for? That would be tougher. Anyway, go ahead.
I had no idea that his dad was a Major League Baseball player. So
his dad was a pitcher, actually, in the big leagues.
Oh, interesting. So his son got more athleticism than his dad. Is that right?
Son is quite a bit better than the dad.
Okay.
No doubt.
Here we go. Question number 2, Wyatt. Wow, that was loud. Let's see. What 49er running back lost a fumble on the first drive of the 2024 Super Bowl in Las Vegas?
Is that Christian McCaffrey?
Unfortunately, it is. That was the beginning of the end for the 49ers. They were marching down the field, and it just didn't go well for them after that.
Marching down the field.
They marched.
Listen to you.
They marched.
What'd they do? What'd they get to their own 35?
No, they were inside the 10-yard line when he fumbled. I think he was inside the 5-yard line or fumbled at the 5. Ridiculous.
What, I can't believe you even...
He just sits out the rest of the year because, I don't know. That's what he does.
I can't believe you even cheer for that guy. Bobby Witt Sr., by the way, played 16 years in the big leagues.
Well, that's a long time.
Yeah, Texas. I don't have time for all the teams.
Okay, we'll just
play for a million teams.
We'll go
mostly
back to
Texas.
Wyatt. Okay,
yeah, we'll go back to Wyatt.
Well, that makes sense because Bobby Witt Jr. grew up in Dallas area.
There you go.
All right, third and final question, Wyatt. You get this right or Chris gets it wrong, and you are qualified for Vegas and going to see the Legion. Genesis Invitational starts this weekend, but the PGA Tour was here just 2 short weeks ago. Who won the Farmers Insurance Open?
I don't pay any attention to golf, so I gotta just hope that somehow Chris was too distracted to remember this.
All right, that's a good way of playing this one. I'm not sure what's happening with Chris because...
God, I didn't watch it this year hardly. I usually watch a little more of it than I did this year. It was only 2 weeks ago. Was it somebody I've even heard of, or was it just like some total no-name?
Well, you've heard of them now. Yes, they are a veteran on the tour.
Yeah. I'm going to have to pass. I'm going to have to just give it up to Wyatt.
Wow.
I don't even have a guess. I can't even remember at all.
I'm going to do this with so much joy.
Oh, my God. Wow.
Okay, that's it. You get 4 buzzes for not guessing anything at all. That means that you win, Wyatt. You need to stay on the line. The actual answer was...
Give me initials.
H-E.
Oh, Harris English.
Harris English.
I have heard of him, but I totally forgot. Good for you, Harris. You got me on that one. That was a good one, Skraby. We've discussed this in the past. As a trivia, keeper of massive information like I am.
Yes.
The stuff that I'm not as good at is the new stuff because I haven't been able to file it away in the vault yet.
I'm with you. I couldn't even remember who won the Super Bowl like 2 days ago.
You asked me who won Super Bowl V, I will tell you the Colts in less than a second. But if you ask me who won Super Bowl 53, I can't even tell you who played in Super Bowl 53.
Now I got to know who played in Super Bowl 53. Let's see.
I don't know.
Was it no, it couldn't have been the 49ers.
I don't know. I wouldn't even be able to tell you who played in that game.
It was Super Bowl 53. Oh, yeah, it was Eagles. No, I'm sorry. It was Patriots and Rams, a boring Super Bowl.
All right.
One of the worst.
I'm just saying. That was an example of why I don't know the newer stuff. Good job, Wyatt. And that should be a lesson to the rest of you out there. I can miss the craziest question, and you will win just like that.
Just like that.
But in order for that to happen, you have to try. You have to play. And that's why I give Tara a lot of credit for jumping on there today.
Yep.
And thank you to Wyatt. And good luck to you, Wyatt, on winning the big prizes over there.
All right. Chris, you are going to be headed to the Aztecs women's basketball game,
here.
But we have some stuff recorded.
We have a few things that we're still ahead for you, like the Padres Pen Pals and the Big Five. I'm telling you, the Big Five is a fantastic rendition of it today.
Chris felt it.
I did, and you brought a lot of good stuff to the table. So don't go anywhere. We've got all of that stuff coming up. Skraby will kind of host things for the next hour or so, and then we'll be back together for 4 full hours tomorrow. More Gwynn and Chris after traffic, everyone.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, guys, I want to tell you to take it extra carefully on the transition ramps whenever it's...
Matt Skraby back with you here, Odyssey Palace 97.3 The Fan. Is it still raining outside? Oh, yes, it still is raining. Everybody be careful. I'm looking at the roads. It seems like it's very slow out there. When I was driving down here, I haven't really driven in rain with my car. I've had my car for about a year and a half now, but there hasn't been a lot of rain for me to drive in. And I did one of those things today where I was going up a hill from a stoplight, and so I was starting from zero, and my tires just spun, and I was very embarrassed. I was very embarrassed about this whole thing because there was someone behind me, and they were in this manly truck, and my little SUV was just spinning its tires trying to get up this hill. I don't know why it had such a hard time with the traction, but I don't know if people have done this before where you start spinning the tires, and then you like back off a little bit off the gas, and then you do it again and they're still spinning, and so at some point you just like hope that they're gonna grip it when like in any second, and so mine finally gripped and it went up the hill. But it was very embarrassing. I mean, I do not like when I'm shown up by a big manly truck. I don't ever want to own a big manly truck, but my little SUV is not too bad. It's not too bad. People don't know how to drive here in the rain, by the way. I know that's not a hot take in San Diego, but it seems like you either got people that are driving 95 miles an hour in the rain or driving 35 miles an hour in the rain. But this is not the Daily Gripe segment. This is actually a segment that we're going to hear from Mike Schilt. If you are looking for spring training news, spring training content, spring training videos, then you need to go to our Twitter at 97.3 The Fan SD, also Instagram, because we have so many different videos that Sam Levitt has put up on the website, and he was there this morning when Mike Schilt talked to the media for the first time since pitchers and catchers reported. But there's so many different videos. Like he has a video of Craig Stammen working with the pitchers. And so if you're looking for baseball stuff, we have it for you there at 97.3 The Fan SD. But there was one question asked, and I'm going to start this answer halfway through because Mike Schilt was asked on finding depth for his starting rotation. He was talking about the starters. He basically said Cease, Darvish, and King are perfect, ready to go. They are number ones anywhere else, and so the first three are good. But here is what he said about some of the other guys that may take those last two spots in the rotation.
And then, no particular order. You've got Vasquez, who had a lot of opportunities for us last year and got better as the season went, and is clearly competing for a starting job. And then you've got Waldron. I mean, without Matt Waldron, the season didn't end the way he would have liked to have. He had a healthier club at the end, and we're clicking with some guys pitching well and returning. But Matt Waldron had a 6-week stretch last year that effectively kept us right in where we were looking to go. And so Matty's going to compete for that job, and Johnny Brito's going to get that opportunity as a starter, and so that'll be good, and we're going to lengthen out Stephen Kolek and give him an opportunity to start as well, and then we'll take it from there.
All right, so that is Mike Schilt on some of the guys that are going to vie for those 4th and 5th spots in the rotation, and you notice that he said Stephen Kolek there at the end. I'm going to talk more about Randy Vasquez during the Skraby show. We also have a question in Padres Pen Pals at 5:40 about Randy Vasquez. But I think that Randy Vasquez, in a nutshell, my thoughts on Randy Vasquez, he pitched well enough last year to give him a shot for the rotation this year. Now, Stephen Kolek is interesting because I honestly never even considered stretching out Stephen Kolek, which is why I'm not a baseball coach or a baseball manager, and I'm here talking about baseball. And it's interesting to me for a couple reasons, because last year he was a Rule 5 guy, so he had to stay on the roster or else they had to send him back. He couldn't be sent down, Stephen Kolek. And Stephen Kolek had moments last year where he was pretty good. And he also had moments where he was not very good, and he ended up not pitching the rest of the season after July, I believe. But there were moments of Stephen Kolek's season last year coming in for relief that I thought was not it wasn't bad. It's the same with Randy Vasquez. And if you take out a couple starts here and there, it's not as bad as we all think it is. Like, for example, Stephen Kolek, his ERA was pretty consistent, but in the month of April, he pitched 12. He appeared in 12 games through 13 innings in relief, and he had an ERA for the entire month of 1.38. So, and he struck out 12 batters during that time. So there is, now, can he do it for 6 innings every 5 days? I'm not sure. We'll have to see. But there is some talent in there. And when you look at some of the other stuff he did, he struggled at times. In July, 8.22 ERA in 8 games. But in June, pitched 9 games, a .68 ERA. He gave up basically nothing. I'm looking. He gave up 1 earned run in the month of June. So, and then in April, he gave up 2 earned runs. So it's there. It's there. I'm not quite going to get angry at giving Stephen Kolek a chance at the rotation, but I do think, at least right now, you have 2 guys that are able to be your 4th and 5th starters on opening day, which is Matt Waldron and Randy Vasquez. Now, are we going to say that they're penciled in the entire year? Absolutely not. At least with the 4th and 5th guys, you can change them up a little bit. You can maybe add a 6-man rotation for a little bit in the middle of the season. But I don't know that if they do make a deal and they bring in an arm, of course I'm not going to be mad at it. But I'm not also going to be mad at them trying to use Matt Waldron and Randy Vasquez this year in the 4th and 5th spot. At least to start the year. Randy Vasquez has earned it. And again, we'll talk more about that in the Skraby Show at 6 p.m. And Matt Waldron has definitely earned it as well. And he's done a lot of work this offseason. We're actually going to hear some audio from Matt Waldron. Sammy Lev caught up with him earlier today. We'll hear some audio in the 5 p.m. Segment about that. But if we're talking Padres news right now, Stephen Kolek being stretched out is a pretty good topic, because I think that it is not as bad on face at as it seems, at face value. Nate says, I'm pulling for Matty Knuckles this season. I am too. Jacob's going back to my tire spinning. Sounds like you need new tires, my guy. I might. I probably do. Year and a half on those tires. I don't want to buy new tires, though. They're so expensive. But you also can't drive anywhere without tires. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time talking this week. But there we go. That's what Mike Schultz said about some of the ancillary pitchers that are going to be competing for the rotation. He also said that there's going to be a healthy competition, which he likes, and I agree. Everybody needs a little healthy competition. You, Darvish, Michael King, and Dylan Cease know they're going to be in the rotation. But for that 4th and 5th spot, if you really want a spot on this team on opening day, you're going to have to pitch well during spring training. Someone's going to win that job. The 4th and 5th job. Someone has to pitch well enough to win that job. And that is what spring training's for. Games start next Friday on February 21st, I believe is the date. So we are almost there. Not spring training. Opening day is like a month and a half away. So Sammy Lev is out there. He's reporting everything for us, and he'll be on at 7 after the Skraby Show to tell you everything that happened today. All right, we're going to go to break. Chris is going to virtually join me back for the Big 5. We're talking about what is the next player that the Padres could retire their number. I don't know if I asked that question great, but who is the next guy you think would be worthy of the Padres retiring his number? We'll talk about that in the Big 5. Also, Cam Newton said some stuff that made Steve Smith mad. We'll talk about that as well in the Big 5. into Gwynn and Chris. Matt Skraby filling in for Chris, who's off at the Aztecs game. He'll be right back, though, with the Big Five. We have it all ready to go. It's actually one of our longer ones. It seems like when it's just me and Chris, we can't stop talking for some reason, and it was one of those days again today. So it is quite... You're not going to be... We're not cheapskates on the Big Five today. So without further ado, traffic is updated. Let's go to traffic, and then a little bit of Big Five.
From the
day. We got a couple NBA stories, and Chris, I think I may finally be done with Cam Newton. We'll get into that as we go along, but let's start with the Padres.
Number 5.
As long as you don't adopt his wardrobe, that's fine.
I could never pull off his wardrobe. I mean, he was wearing a hat last week that looked like bird droppings were all over it, but I know it wasn't.
I honestly think he goes to the store and buys that stuff, and I think he's the only one in the store. Like, there can't possibly be anyone else there buying the same stuff.
And I'm sure these hats are not cheap. I'm sure these hats are very expensive.
Well, the place has to stay in business, and he's their only customer.
He is their only
customer. They have
customer.
to charge a lot.
I'll take the frilly hat over there. Oh, my goodness. We've had that on the wall for 10 years. Yes, sir. All right.
I've been dying to get rid of that.
Yeah, we've been trying to free up space. Our guy Matt Snyder of CBS Sports wrote a very detailed article. Think about this undertaking, Chris. He wrote a very detailed article listing each Major League Baseball team's next number they're likely to retire. So that is well involved for every single team.
Yeah, that's an undertaking.
For the Padres, who do you think he said, before I tell you, who he said is the likeliest next candidate for their number retired?
Well, I mean, Fernando pops right to mind, so I'll just take the easy answer and say number 23 will not be worn after Fernando is gone.
I think we're forgetting Jake Peavy. That's who Matt Snyder says is probably the next one.
Jake.
So
yeah, well, I have to tell you, I'm totally forgetting Jake Peavy. Absolutely, I'm forgetting Jake. He's a very good candidate for an honor like that.
All right. Well, the question is, do you agree with Matt Snyder?
Yeah. I mean, you look at the impact he had on the organization, and there's a pretty darn good impact. And you know, the fact of the matter is that when PV was here, the Padres got to the playoffs 3 consecutive years, and you know they weren't able to move any further, and so those teams are largely forgotten in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? When you talk about the history of the Padres, it seems like it goes from 1984 to 1998
to 2022.
To what's happened in the last 5 years. Yeah, but we forget that the early 2000s, you know, the Padres were winning the division, or they were right there. And I think they did win the one division up in LA on the final weekend of the season, and you know, got to the playoffs there for 3 years when Petco Park opened. And you know, Jake Peavy was all of that. He was a Cy Young Award winner. Randy Jones's number is retired as a Cy Young Award winner. On the other hand, Gaylord Perry won a Cy Young here, and Mark Davis won Cy Youngs.
Blake Snell,
but they didn't have the same, and not even Blake. I mean, they didn't have the same impact, I don't think, on the organization as Peavy. So I think it's an inspired choice. I think it's something that they should, at the very least, the Padres ought to look into it and consider it, very seriously. I think that's a very good call.
What was his number? Jake Peavy?
44.
44, yes, that's it. I was going to say, Joe Musgrove's going to have to find a new number.
By the way, if you're going to retire his number, you're going to have to know what number.
No, I was just confirming it, Chris, because I was like, I'm pretty sure Joe Musgrove wears that number for Jake Peavy. Do I agree? I wasn't in high school when Jake Peavy was here, and when I think Padres pitchers throughout history, I think Randy Jones and I think Jake Peavy. He definitely has the cachet to be retired and his number be retired.
You're talking about starting pitchers because, of course, you'd have to consider Trevor
yeah,
as well.
But we're talking starting pitchers, of course, yes.
Right.
So Jake Peavy, I mean, who knows when that could happen, but he did a lot of great things for San Diego. I remember watching him and seeing him rack up strikeouts and thought it was pretty cool, so...
the only thing, I'm going to be honest with it, the only thing that always stuck with me a little on Jake Peavy is that he finished up with the Dirty Giants, and that...
it's better than the other.
Well, right, but you know what I mean? It was just a little something about that at the very end that, he ended up on the wrong uniform.
You know what Tony would say about that?
Well...
The Padres didn't want him.
Oh, I know.
So there you go.
No, it wasn't his fault. Oh, he didn't ask out. There's no question. He just wanted to play another couple of years. So.
All right.
I think it's a great call by Max Snyder. Matt does a great job. We love having him on.
He's a researcher.
And this is why we love him. We love having him on because he loves doing stuff like that.
Yeah. All right.
Number 4.
Kevin Durant became...
Who did he possibly come up with for the Rockies?
I didn't even
Dick
look.
Monfort doesn't wear a number.
I did. Tulowitzki?
Yeah, I don't know what they
Todd
do.
Helton, Charlie Blackmon. Come on, there's some guys out there.
Find some guys. Yeah.
Kevin Durant became the 8th player in NBA history to score 30,000 points last night, hitting that mark with a free throw late in the third quarter of a loss to the Grizzlies last night. The 36-year-old Phoenix Suns forward, who recently was selected to his 15th NBA All-Star team, joins LeBron, Kareem, Karl Malone, Kobe, Michael Jordan, Dirk Nowitzki, and Wilt Chamberlain in the 30,000-point club. Julius Erving, according to the article, also hit that mark when combining his points scored in the NBA and the ABA. I'm up first. How are you going to remember KD down the road? I'm going to remember...
Go ahead, you're first. Yes, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Is that your food?
Yes, my food just arrived, everybody. I'm going to eat. Go ahead, Skraby.
Okay. How am I going to remember KD down the road? Here's how I'm going to remember him. Really, 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 really great basketball player. Injured all the time and played for too many different teams. Never forged his own path. But I will remember him mostly for how great he was on Twitter in the early part of his career, because he was really funny and his responses were hilarious to fans, and they still kind of are. He's going to obviously go down as one of the greats, but there's so many different tentacles to KD's career that I will remember before I just say he's one of the greats, you know?
Well, I think we're at the stage in his career where I don't want to say he's not a sideshow. He's still a star player.
Yeah.
Good enough to make the All-Star team. But we end up talking more about the things that he does off the court and some of the things some of the controversies he gets himself kind of embroiled in, and demanding this trade and nixing that trade. So I think we're a little too deep in that right now to give him a fair analysis. But I'm looking at where Kevin Durant is going to have to rank on the all-time NBA list. And I think he's going to rank pretty favorably, Skraby. I took a moment this morning to jot down my all-time
Of course
first
you
team.
did.
Of course I did, because I'm like Matt Snyder. I jotted down my all-time first team NBA, second team NBA, and third team NBA.
You picked that many guys?
Well, it's only 15 guys. It's 5 on each team.
I guess you're right.
So the first team I think is pretty unassailable, although some people might make a change or two. But I have Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan in the backcourt. I have LeBron and Larry Bird at forward. And I have Wilt Chamberlain at center. And for those who say Wilt played before the rest of the players were athletic, I say that he played against the greatest defensive player of all time, Bill Russell, and he still scored 40 points a game.
All right.
On my second team, I have Steph Curry, I have Kobe Bryant, I have Tim Duncan, I have Dr. J, and I have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Then on the third team, I have Jerry West and Oscar Robertson, I have Elgin Baylor, I have Shaq as my third team center, and Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant belongs on that list. I really do. You could replace him with a couple of guys if you really want to, but is he not better than Dirk Nowitzki? Is he not better than Karl Malone?
What about Kobe?
Maybe Giannis.
Did you say Kobe?
Well, I put Kobe's on the second team.
Okay, second team. All right.
Oh yeah, Kobe, and plus Kobe plays a different position. So
true.
I'm talking about forwards of Durant, size and ability.
Okay.
He would at least be on the third team. I think the only guy that could take him out of there right now is Giannis, but Giannis hasn't been around or accomplished enough yet to be on this list. And if Giannis ever did make it, he might kick off Elgin Baylor and keep Durant on there. Durant's, 28 points a game for 20 years?
Yeah,
He's been doing
good.
this. And you talk about guys that play for different teams. Shaq played for every team in the NBA.
That's true.
Before it was all over. So, a lot of these guys changed teams. Wilt Chamberlain played for 3 or 4 teams. And, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played. Anyway, I'm not going to hold that against him. Although I think some people think that he bought himself a championship by going to the Warriors. Don't forget, he was the MVP of 2 of those championships.
True. Yeah, he was the
So
guy.
there you have it.
Can I ask why you jotted down your 15 guys today? What made that happen?
Because I'm a little crazy.
Okay.
And I'm sitting in a hotel room, so I have a little extra time. And finally, because when I saw that he scored 30,000 points, the first question that came to my mind is, where does he rank all time? And I wanted to put a list together.
All right.
I did.
Well, it's a fair response. It's just our brains work very different. I was like,
yes, they do.
KD, he just talks
thank
trash
goodness
from
for
the
that,
bench.
Skraby.
I know.
Thank goodness our brains work different.
Yeah, that is true.
Number 3.
Although Dallas Mavericks superstar big man Anthony Davis is set to miss some time due to an adductor strain, he won't need surgery. So that's the good part, the good news. But Brian Windhorst of ESPN said today, and get ready for this podcast title, Chris, the Brian Windhorst and the Hoop Collective podcast, he said he believes Davis has avoided surgery for good. I already said that, so I don't know why I'm repeating that part of it. However, Windhorst added that Davis will be out for a significant period of time this season, referring to the recovery timeline as weeks and weeks. So, Chris, you're up first on this one. Do you feel bad for Anthony Davis or Mavs fans?
Oh, I don't feel bad for Mavs fans right now. As a matter of fact, I'm a little tired of the Mavs fan.
You're irked?
Frankly. Yeah, I'm over it. Honestly, the displays of destruction outside the arena, the setting of fires.
Yeah, we don't need
the supposed death threats of the general manager, although that has been called into question a little bit.
What?
The behavior at games, and even that's been called into question now because Mark Cuban is taking a lot of flack for apparently having fans kicked out of games. And this is taking on a life of its own, for heaven's sakes.
It is getting bigger and bigger.
It really, truly is. The Mavericks, to me, if Anthony Davis were to get healthy by the end of the season and get into the playoffs, I think would have an excellent chance to compete and make a run. This trade is not great for the future of the Dallas Mavericks. I get that. But they went for something crazy. And, I think if you're a great fan of a team, certainly you can be disappointed and heartbroken. But to react the way they have has been a little bit over the top as far as I'm concerned. So I don't feel bad for the Dallas fans. And I do feel a little bad for Anthony Davis because I know he wants to go to Dallas and shut his own fans up by showing him what he can do.
Yeah.
And we've watched the guy for the Lakers. We know what he can do. And, I think it's kind of a shame that all of his skills have been overlooked in this whole conversation.
They have. I do feel bad for both sides. I will take out all of the fans that are burning things and sending death threats. I do feel bad because some of these people are just caught in the middle. They're not going to say anything publicly. They're just going to go to their games and enjoy their team. But I feel worse, I guess, for Anthony Davis because everybody is just talking so much trash about him and how he's a terrible player, how he's always injured, how he will never live up to Luka, blah, 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 blah. That is so unfair to Anthony Davis to have to be thrust into all of that. And if he did win a title, Chris, I think some of those fans still wouldn't care. That's how set they are on this whole Luka thing. And you got fans at SMU games now saying fire Nico. Obviously, the fans that were in the stadium the other night got removed because they said fire Nico. It's just, it's very unfair to Anthony Davis to have to be the center point of all of this. He did not ask for this at all.
Anthony Davis could lead the Dallas Mavericks to the championship this year, and they could win Game 6 on their home court, and everybody would turn around and quietly file out of the arena.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's the craziest thing in the world. It's so nuts.
It's really weird.
It is so strange. We are getting to a point where it's too much. Although I say if you're a fan, voice your displeasure, but do it peacefully.
Number 2.
Don't be an idiot. That's all I got to say. Speaking of idiots, I may slowly be backing away from any sort of Cam Newton take from here on out because he said something recently that made former Panther wide receiver Steve Smith pretty angry. Here's another podcast, Chris. Cam Newton was on the Travis Hunter show. Yes, that's a thing, and said this about his former team.
When I was the first pick, I went into a locker room of losers.
How did you handle the pressure of being the top pick?
Let's put it in perspective. You're the top pick because what?
Well, you play.
No. You're looking at it from a personal situation. I'm talking about from the professional situation. You're the top pick because that was the worst team in the NFL the year before. For me, I wanted to be the number 1 pick. You could potentially be the first pick, but bro, you have no way of impacting the game like a quarterback does. You can lock down the number 1 receiver. You can make impact plays on offense all you want, but it's still not like a quarterback. My issue is when I was the first pick, I went into a locker room of losers. Guys didn't know how to win. Guys didn't know how to prepare. It was a culture shock for me. The games don't mean a lot to a lot of people in the league like you would expect. It's just money. Not everybody has capabilities to be impact players. They're just players.
All right, that is Cam Newton. I'll give him this. He does come up with a different angle that no one else has come up with. That's what I'll give him on that because he said in the last couple of weeks things that make you actually kind of sort of think. Steve Smith tweeted this back. He had 2 tweets. First one was 53-man locker room -1 equals 52 losers. Wow, breaking news to 89. And then he, in a separate tweet, he said, I've watched and listened from afar as you, Cam Newton, talk about the Panthers. None of us are perfect. Yes, we were 2-14 before you blessed us with your presence. The way you have talked about the Panthers lately, I'm very disappointed. I wish you nothing but the very best. I'm done. Peace. I'm up first. Is Cam right or wrong? He's totally wrong on the whole part where he calls his teammates from the past losers, because not all of them are losers. He also pretty much called Travis Hunter a loser by saying you're not a real impact player. We all knew this about Cam. I don't know why this is surprising anyone that Cam Newton loves Cam Newton. He named his kid Chosen, I believe. So this is the type of guy we're dealing with. I think that he's wrong in the entire statement, but there are truths to that. Yes, you do get drafted as a number 1 pick to the worst team in the league. So I don't think he's wrong there, but calling your teammates losers is a little much in my opinion. Chris, is Cam right or wrong?
Well, first of all, you're right. He is different. But as you said, or didn't say, different does not necessarily mean correct.
Yep.
Different a lot of times means idiotic. And in his case, Cam Newton's an idiot. And let me just tell you something. What he just said about all of the players in his Carolina locker room when he joined the team being losers, This is coming from a man who less than 2 weeks ago said that he would rather be an MVP and win an individual award, which focuses all of the spotlight and attention on him, than win a Super Bowl ring, which is a team achievement, which is something that focuses the spotlight on 53 men and coaches and personnel and people like that.
Yeah.
Cam Newton is, as you said, he's about himself. And in my mind, if you're only in it for yourself, guess what that makes you, Cam? A loser.
I guess you could say he was a loser every year of his career because he never won the Super Bowl. I mean,
well, yeah, if you want to get that, if you want to get right down to it,
yeah,
sure.
Like I said, I give Cam a little credit because he believes in his takes too. And, you know, some people agreed with the Super Bowl MVP one. Like Greg Camarillo kind of agreed because he thought, hey, there's only one of that, and then there's a ton of other Super Bowl winners. But I don't know, you can call your former teammates losers and just expect people not to be angry.
Number 1.
All right. I can't believe what I read earlier today in regards to Disney executives and some of their thoughts recently, Chris. According to sources, they have come to the conclusion their parks might be too expensive for middle-class families. Why did they wake up one day and realize this? I have no idea, but this is the actual conversation. The actual reason for the conversation is that return trips to the park are declining quickly. Basically, a family saves up for one big Disney trip, and then you either start saving again for 5 years from then or never go again because it's too expensive. So, Chris, what do you think a reasonable price for a family of 4 is for tickets to Disneyland? Just the tickets, just entry.
Well, you're asking somebody
$10
that would not pay $10 to go to Disney.
Okay, that's crazy. $10 is a steal.
Well, I'm sure it is. And I would pay $10 to take my nieces. I would take $10 to take my godson, daughter, whoever, their kids, so that I could see the joy and look on their faces.
Okay.
But myself, I would not spend more than a couple of dollars for my own ticket. I don't understand why people save up their life savings just to go to Disneyland or to go to SeaWorld or to go
because kids
to
want
any
to.
of these theme points. Yeah, you have no choice, right? The kids want to go. This is something that apparently, if they actually do lower the prices, is far overdue. And let's be honest about this. What's happening here, Skraby? The paying public has finally said,
I know.
Enough is enough.
I love it.
And we've talked about this. If you all think that tickets to an NBA game are just ridiculous, stop going.
Yep.
Stop paying the price. You can say that about a baseball team. You can say that about an NFL team. Prices are crazy. And if you think it's too much, stop going. And guess what? Eventually, we do hold the power. Because if we stop going, they will be forced to take a look at what their prices are. Any business would have to do the same thing. Even if you're selling lemonade out on the street, if you want 45 cents and everybody's driving by, guess what? You lower it to 35 cents and everybody stops for a cup of lemonade. You found your price point.
But Chris, that doesn't put money in my pocket for no work.
Well, I'm sorry, Scott.
Okay.
You're just going to have to.
You know what I have to say about your answer? This.
What? Thank you.
I couldn't have said it better, to be honest. I thought you were channeling me right there. I think it's hilarious that Disneyland is finally realizing that $1,000 for one day at your park is a little much. I think, a reasonable price for a family of 4, $400, $100 per ticket, or you could say like $150.
Whoa.
For the parents, and then like $50 for the kids.
Wasn't I terrible? Why do the parents cost more? By the way,
well, because
they don't go
always
on
cost
any
more.
They don't go on, but they don't go on any of the rides.
That's
they
not
got
true.
it all back.
That's
they
not
have
true.
it all backwards. I would
have to go with your kids.
I think a fair price is $125 for 4, and that includes parking.
That was like the price in 1962. Includes parking, Chris. You just sucked $80 a car out of the Disneyland funnel.
You know what? The last time I remember going to Disneyland, this is a really crazy story to me, but it's not the last time I went, but it was maybe the early 1990s, okay? And a friend of mine, a friend of Lori's actually, by the name of Darla, she worked for the Padres at one point, and she was friends with a former Padre player named Joey Cora. Now, he has been a coach. I think his brother Alex Cora has been the manager of the Red Sox, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Joey Cora came up with the Padres. So Darla was friends with Joey. Joey got traded to the White Sox. The White Sox were playing the Angels. Darla wanted to go up to the game. My wife couldn't go. I went, and a few other people. We all went up to watch Joey Cora on a Saturday afternoon play against the Angels. The game's over. We're talking outside the clubhouse, and Joey Cora goes, I want to go to Disneyland. And it's about 4 in the afternoon, 5 in the afternoon. I'm thinking to myself, there is no way I am agreeing to go to Disneyland because I'm not paying whatever the price is to get into Disneyland. And the price at that time was $27, and I thought, ridiculous.
$27?
That's all it was at the time, $27. But thankfully, the major leaguer, Joey Cora, footed the bill for all of us, and I was okay.
Wow, Joey Cora for the win. The mayor of Disneyland. Joey Cora.
Right.
All right, that's it for the Big Five. When we get back, I will update you on everything that's happened today from Padres Spring Training, so stick with us. We'll be back shortly, 97.3 The Fan.
Well, hey guys, it's Woodsy here. Cheer on your San Diego Padres as they head to sunny Peoria, Arizona for another great year of
Ecom Bakadaku on the same team, Robin Morg on the same team, Ecom and Morg fighting on the left side. And now Morg is down to 1 stock, Ecom down to 1 stock. Bakadaku has 3 stocks. O'Farrell needs to win this one to stay alive. Econ and Robin on the left, Morgan Bakadaku on the right. Morgan and Ecom only have 1 stock. Bakadaku, Robin have 2 stocks. Now Robin, the only one with 2 stocks. Everybody else with 1. Kearney took the first game. And now it's 2-on-1. Actually, Morg is back, so now it's back to full strength on each side. Everybody has 1 stock at this point. Robin looks to be out. Ecom and Bakadaku against Morg. O'Farrell needs this. Morg hanging on. Bakadaku, Ecom both with 1 life. Morg. And there you go. O'Farrell ties it up. Now we go into the 3rd and final game.
3, 2, 1, go!
It's this. Each team, O'Farrell and Kearney, have won a game so far in the championship round. Loser comes in second. Winner wins it all. Bakadaku and Robin on the left. Morg and Ecom on the right. Both floating. Ecom goes down. Everybody with 3 stocks except for Ecom, who has 2 stocks. Now Robin down to 2 stocks. Ecom and Bakadaku trying to get back on the stage. Bakadaku does. Ecom does. Again, this is the 3rd game of the championship round. Morg has 3 stocks. Everybody else has 2. Stephanie says, let's go. Robin and Bakadaku are battling on the left. Everybody with 2 stock now. Even as it can get in the 3rd game of the final round. Now Ecom down to 1 stock. Everybody else has 2. Robin and Ecom on the left, Bakadaku and Morg on the right, but now Ecom and Bakadaku trying to team up. Robin now with 1 stock, Ecom 1 stock. Everybody else with 2. Bakadaku and Morg 2. Ecom no stocks. But we'll be back. Bakadaku and Ecom down to their last stock. Morgan Robin have control right now. Ecom and Bakadaku O'Farrell. Morgan Robin from Kearney. And that's it. Kearney High School takes it in 3 games. So let me just figure this out just to make sure I have everything. But I believe the tournament is now over, and Kearney High School has won it all.
Drowsy, sluggish, or feeling fatigued? You're about to get your afternoon boost with Tony Gwynn Jr.
Nevertheless, I think this guy's girlfriend should be allowed to look, not touch.
Chris Ello.
When are you going to realize that I don't listen to you?
And Matt Skraby.
He's got dumps like a charm.
Cisco.
Yeah.
Don't blame us for any side effects.
You thrilled our fans throughout the postseason with a great performance.
Gwynn and Chris are ready to go.
Well, you're stuck with me, Matt Skraby here, 97.3 The Fan, at least until Tony gets back next week, and Chris will be back in studio with me tomorrow and Friday. So you're only stuck with me for another couple hours, and then we will get back to a little bit of normalcy. And that's what the Padres are doing today. They're getting back to a little bit of normalcy. Spring training opened up today. Sammy Lev out there in Peoria doing all he can to bring us the sights and sounds of Peoria. Make sure you check out his social medias at Sammy Lev. Also, you can check out at 97.3 The Fan SD, because there's a ton of clips up there from Mike Schilt. There's different drills people are doing and pictures of the guys and all that. So if you want to get excited about the baseball season, go to our social media channels and look at all those things. We're going to get into Mike Schilt, and he was asked about who's going to be the starting catcher or the primary catcher this season. And I think we all know what he's going to say, but we will still play that for you anyway, because that's one of the big positions this year. How are you going to replace Kyle Higashioka? And I loved Kyle Higashioka. I mean, obviously, he outperformed anything we thought he was going to do. And are we going to be able to replace the production of Kyle Higashioka? I'm not sure. It's going to be tough, but I don't know that Kyle Higashioka is going to follow up last season with a similar type season. So I'm happy for him. He's with the Texas Rangers. He's making some money, but I don't know that he would have done what he did last year. Doesn't change that what he did last year. He was great for the Padres. They absolutely needed him many, many times last year. And throughout the stretch run of the season, he was there every single time. So I'm not trashing Higashioka the player. I'm not trashing. I'm just kind of concerned that that he's going to follow it up with a similar type year. Kind of like Jurickson Profar. So we'll hear from Mike Schilt here in just a second. But if you didn't hear Sports Court, we usually do it at 3:40. You can go back on the YouTube. Just go to YouTube, search 97.3 The Fan, look at the live shows. And you can go back into like 3:40 area. And we had a topic in Sports Court, and I want to go back to get the language of the topic. But basically someone said they were watching the Olympics with their roommate one night. They were talking about breakdancing, how it's ridiculous that it's an Olympic sport. But then the roommate said, how can breakdancing be a sport but fishing isn't? And the friend said, fishing isn't a sport isn't in the Olympics because it's a hobby and not a sport. Well, I have anger at all the fishing people out there, and I didn't even really think I said anything bad about the fishing people out there. I think that The fishing people are misunderstanding me. I never said don't fish or fishing is dumb or fishing's boring, anything like that. Maybe I said fishing is boring. I think Chris may have said that actually. But I never said that fishing was a bad thing for you to do. I know there's plenty of people that fish around here. It's okay. I'm not attacking fishing like everybody attacks golf all the time. You don't see me freaking out when people tell me that golf isn't a sport. It's just a hobby. But I don't think it's a bad thing if you say fishing's not a sport. I don't even know. I don't think we should go into this right now, but I guess I am. What is the definition of a sport? An activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another or others for entertainment. So if you take that definition, fishing's a sport because there's competitions for fishing. Golf also is a sport then too. If fishing is a sport because of physical, if there's a tournament involved, yeah, all right. I'll move on now because anything I say is probably just going to make everybody else, all the fishing people, angry again. So I'm not going to say anything more about the fishing. What I will say is that Mike Schilt is going to be on our airwaves a lot the next 6 weeks because he speaks to the media basically every single day of spring training. Sammy Lev is there every single day. So Mike Schilt was asked by the media, who is this is how it was phrased, who is the starting or primary catcher for the Padres in 2025?
Well, I mean, listen, we've got good catching competition, and that's healthy. We got competition in this camp, which I love. He's mentioned the starting rotation. There's competition there. There's competition with the catchers. I mean, clearly we, have signed Diaz to play, and rightfully so. All-Star 2 years ago, All-Star MVP, came up last year, helped us, contributed. So, clearly, he's going to be a part of the mix. But, you look at Campy, and Campy was, similar to Matt Waldron. You look at the numbers with Campy on, you can evaluate catchers a lot of different ways, clearly. But, one of the ways that we evaluate a lot of what we do is if we win or not. And if you look at Campy's record when his one-loss record, it's pretty darn good. And there's a lot of factors to that, clearly. But point being is Campy had a good year for us. And at the end of the year, we get Diaz in. And, but we look back at the body of work, and it was productive for Campy. So we expect him to, like I mentioned, FanFest, had a good offseason, went to winter ball, Dominican, and played. And it's in a good spot to come in and compete for playing time like he got last year. And then you're talking about, Brett Sullivan came up, helped us out. He's been a guy in the organization up and down for the last couple of years that has done a nice job for us. Again, went to winter ball and worked on his game. So Sully's guy that's in that mix. And we just signed a guy that's won 2 World Series with Maldonado that's really hungry still after 13 years at this level. So it's going to be a really healthy competition, and we're excited about it.
Mike Schilt gives us explanations. He does. He gives us more than previous managers have given us, but I never expected him to say anything other than that during it, which is propping up his players and saying there's going to be a competition. I think we all know that Luis Campusano, unless he is just completely awful in spring training, I think we know he's going to be one of the guys. And I think we probably know also that Elias Diaz is going to be the other guy. And you're not really paying them all that much money, but you don't give money to guys that you're not planning on using at the major league level. And I was actually reading something last night. I can't remember who wrote it. It may have been Dennis Lynn, but he was writing about Brett Sullivan and how, Brett Sullivan has logged defensive innings elsewhere in the field. It's not like he's catcher only. I believe he's played some first base and he's played some corner outfield. I've liked what I've seen from Brett Sullivan over the years. I'm not saying that he's a definite to make the roster, but I wouldn't mind seeing Brett Sullivan get a chance. He's been up and down the last, 2 or 3 seasons for the Padres. But we all know that the competition is most likely between Elias. Is it Elias or Elias? I'm going to say Elias. Elias Diaz and Luis Campusano. Luis Campusano, this is I would assume this is probably his last kind of, I don't want to say chance because there's plenty of chances that are going to happen throughout the year, but I would think that this is the last offseason that the Padres are thinking about Luis Campusano in the way of, hey, he's one of our 2 catchers on the roster. If he has a great year, that all changes. But if he has a year that's similar to what we've seen the last couple, I think that the Padres may move on from Luis Campusano. So it's a big year for him, for the Padres. It's a big year for everyone involved because Luis Campusano has received a lot of resources from the Padres organization. And I'm not saying that they mishandled those resources. I'm just saying that maybe Luis Campusano hasn't lived up to what the Padres think he can be. And this year is a perfect proving year for Luis Campusano. We could be sitting here in June or July and laughing about how worried we were about catcher in February and March, or January and February. So that's what Mike Schilt had to say about the catching position. Again, Sammy Lev's going to be on at 7 p.m. tonight, bringing you everything from spring training. I will be doing a Skraby show from 6 to 7. We have the Beaver Nuggets. If you don't know about that, tune in around 6 o'clock. We'll talk about it. But when we get back, more from Padres spring training. We also have Padres Pen Pals at the end of the hour. And Padres Pen Pals, they have some pretty, 2 of the people came after me. 2 of them came after me directly. So Padres Pen Pals has me responding to some people. Also, in about 20 minutes or so, we are going to call the name for the biggest fan, for today's biggest fan. So make sure you're here. You have 10 minutes to call if we call your name. So you'll get the information when I announce it. You'll get the name when I announce it around 20 minutes from now. Back shortly with more Gwynn and Chris, more Padres on 97.3 The Fan.
From the
7.3 The Fan. You can watch us on YouTube. For some reason, the audio keeps getting muted to YouTube. No idea why it keeps happening. Ugh. Technology today has not been my friend. And then I took my dog Lucky on a walk earlier today, and it was raining. I've been preparing for this. He loves the rain. He loves splashing in puddles, and he also just loves being a fish dog, a dogfish. And today was no different. He found every puddle on the walk, and he splashed in every puddle, and I was a good dog dad. And I said, in my head, just let him do it. He's going to have fun. He's going to tire himself out. I don't have any kids, by the way, so that's why I'm talking about my dog like it's my child. But he did jump around in the puddles. He got very, very wet. I did not let him in the mud today because I've let him in the mud before, and it's a disaster. I don't have time to clean up. The muddy Lucky. That's all I got to say about that. Matt Waldron. We've been talking about him. We talked about him earlier in the show. I talked about him a little bit ago. Sammy Lev talked to him this morning. And Matt Waldron was kind of asked for, let's see, what was the exact thing? Matt Waldron on learning from last season, competing for a starting rotation spot, and his approach to the knuckleball this season. Here is Matt Waldron with Sammy Lev.
Obviously, last year you came into spring training knowing that there was an open spot in the rotation. It was that competition from the outset.
Yeah.
Sort of a similar situation this year. How do you feel like going through what you went through last spring training might help you this time around in sort of a similar spot?
Right, yeah. I think just, it is healthy competition with your teammates. And like I said last year, I think my plan was just to try and make it hard for them and not to want to have to use me, but just you have to be the best option. That's the only way you can look at it. Is just you got to be the best, the next man up, and just run with it from there. And so that's going to be the goal this spring training.
Without going into too many details of how many knuckleballs you're going to throw, the specifics of that, what is the impetus behind kind of wanting to increase that usage?
What is the emphasis behind it?
Yeah, behind wanting to increase the usage of the knuckleball.
I just look at some of my best games last year with the Phillies, Guardians, and those are two off the top of my head. But I just really relied on those pitches, and I felt like it kept them off balance. And and I think the intent on it might have wavered a little bit back, and I feel like I just want to really emphasize throwing it hard and more consistently throughout the entire game. And
with the arm slot, is that purposely getting it higher this year, or just not letting it drop?
Yeah, it's more of not letting it drop, and it's not necessarily a lazy thing, but it's hard to repeat if you change it every time. So just throw on every pitch. It sounds so obvious, but it's when you make 1,000 pitches a year, it's pretty easy to let some things waver sometimes.
That's Matt Waldron, who started some games for the Padres last year. And I think, as we've said throughout the show, Matt Waldron is going to be extremely important to the Padres this year. And I always think about when they talk about changing the way they're throwing and different mechanics, I always think about golfers who change their swing. And I remember a story from Jack Nicklaus that when he was changing, Nick Faldo. When Nick Faldo was changing his swing at some point in his career, he was hitting 1,000 golf balls a day. 1,000 golf balls a day trying to dial in this swing. I'm sure it's no different for a pitcher because you throw the ball a certain way your entire life and then you change it up because you get to the next level and your mechanics need to be that much better. And Matt Waldron sounds like he's all in on that, which is something that I love about players, is when they're all in on doing things that aren't necessarily doing things that, you're opening yourself up to criticism. And when people do that, you get constructive criticism, things move in the right direction. Matt Waldron has never been a guy, it seems like, that knows everything, that is a know-it-all about pitching. So I like to hear what he had to say about that. I like to hear that, he went back in his season and kind of broke it down. And I know he had more time to do that after he was kind of done with the season. I would say hit a wall at some point. But Matt Waldron is someone who's constantly trying to improve, and that's all that we really care about. That's all I care about, is having him able to fill in that fourth spot in the rotation and just keep it there. His curveball, his knuckleball is great. At times, we know his knuckleball is really good. If he can get those secondary pitches to work, even when his knuckleball isn't working, then Matt Waldron can be a pretty good pitcher. Because you never know when that knuckleball's coming, and you can't really hit the knuckleball if he's throwing it well that day. But what we saw last year with Matt Waldron is when that knuckleball wasn't working, it was a struggle for him because his secondary pitches weren't good enough to get guys out. And so when he couldn't go back to his primary pitch, the knuckleball, guys kind of knew what was coming. And he wasn't able to throw those secondary pitches as well as his knuckleball. So hopefully those little things are a lot better this year. And I know I'm very positive. Last night or yesterday I wasn't so positive, but today I'm very positive because I'm hearing from these guys. I'm hearing about their off season. I'm hearing about what they think about this year. And Matt Waldron, I think we forgot a little bit about how important he was last year. And I've been trying to talk about it the last few weeks. But Matt Waldron, through maybe end of May through June, maybe even July, was a huge part of the rotation. We were even talking about early Matt Waldron for Cy Young. That's how good he was last year. And I'm not going to be dramatic and say they wouldn't have made the playoffs if Matt Waldron didn't pitch as well as he did, but they certainly wouldn't have as many wins if Matt Waldron wasn't doing what he did last year. He can only build on last year. I feel like he's going to build on last year, and he could be a really, really important piece to this rotation going forward. And he's got a cool beard, so I think my beard is a little bit more scraggly than his. His looks more like, I don't know, with his little do-rag on that he's got, he looks more like Johnny Depp from Pirates of the Caribbean. Because his beard is nice and mine is not very nice right now. I need to shave it. Anyway, no one really cares about my beard. What they do care about is what we're doing next, and that will be Padres Pen Pals. Chris is rejoining me. We did it earlier today. I'm going to be fully transparent with you. And two of them are attacking me. So Padres Pen Pals, when we get back, and find out why people are attacking me on 97.3 The Fan.
On Thursday.
All right, listen up. It is that time, everyone. Today's biggest fan will be announced as soon as I get the board set. Congratulations to today's biggest fan, Maria Canedo in San Marcos. Maria Canedo in San Marcos, give us a call back within the next 10 minutes at 833-288-0973, and you'll qualify for a grand prize, 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey Suite at a Padres game later this season. Remember to register your name at 973thefansd.com/biggestfan. Maria Canedo, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, from San Marcos. Your 10 minutes starts now. Just hit the timer. All right, we got just a little bit to go here on Gwynn and Chris. We have some Padres Pen Pals coming up. We have some traffic coming up. Don't forget, Skraby show starts at 6 p.m. Also, Sammy Lev going to be doing Inside San Diego Baseball tonight from Peoria, Arizona from 7 to 9 p.m. So he will have lots to share with you. I'm going to try and not take all of Sam's stuff before he does it because, you know, he was the actual one to do it. But we will be trying beaver nuggets. We will be trying some beaver nuggets on the Skraby show tonight. And if you don't know that story, tune in later and I will quickly recap it because this beaver nuggets thing, some of these little things become huge things. And beaver nuggets is one of those things. So we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. We have a phone call. Let me see. The caller ID matches. All right, you stay there. I'm going to come get you. In the meantime, traffic and Padres Pen Pals.
From the
New problems on our wet roadways. Crash in middle lane, south 5 before La Jolla Village Drive. Further down before Gilman, watch out for some debris reported in middle lanes. Southbound side of the 15 before Friars Road. A collision involving a couple cars there over the right shoulder. We still have this accident north on 805 on or near the Governor off-ramp. And in the North County, collision on the Carmel Creek Road off-ramp, eastbound 56. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's time to ask the experts, Padres fans.
I was hoping maybe you can bring a little insight into it.
Write us, tweet us, Facebook us, send a carrier pigeon for Chris. He thinks they're cute. Padres Pen Pals begins.
Hurt the pelota big time.
Now on 97.3 The Fan.
The first Padres Pen Pals of the 2025 Major League Baseball season. I am excited. I have gotten really into baseball now that I've seen it starting up again. Started playing MLB The Show again. Started getting a lot of messages about the roster again, Chris. So we have a couple of those things, and two of them are actually meant for me that I was personally DM'd, but I think it's something we should talk about. So let's start with this one. I just clicked it. There we go. It's a little delayed today. First one. I called in yesterday and Skraby did answer. I'll say he wasn't rude, but there is one thing I notice about this station. Y'all refuse to mention Trevor Bauer's name like he is the plague. If we are looking for creative moves, I can't think bringing a former Cy Young Award winner should be off the table. He's cheap, has high upside, and he 100% would help this team. If he's a bad teammate, give him a locker in the hallway. All he needs to do is pitch. Why do you refuse to talk about this? Okay, I'm going to go first, Chris, since I remember this caller from yesterday. The caller was very nice, was just making points that, I think a general fan would definitely think. I could see why people who don't know the full story of everything would want to bring in a guy like Trevor Bauer, but why do we refuse to talk about him? We don't refuse to talk about him. We just have talked about him so much that we know it's never going to happen. We do it. We mention it like 4 times a year. And again, I understand the sentiment, but bringing someone like that in will throw this clubhouse into disarray, I believe, just because there would be a lot of media with their eyes on this whole thing. So we don't refuse to talk about it, but I don't think he's a good fit for this team. Chris?
Well, here's the thing. I think Trevor Bauer on the name alone and on the accomplishments alone would actually be a hell of a crazy move. And it really would be something that I think would fit for the Padres.
Okay.
I really do. They need something like this. And this would, you want to bring a little attention to your organization, go ahead and bring Trevor Bauer to San Diego and see how much talk the Padres get.
I don't think they want that talk, though.
Having said what I just said, the reason that we don't talk about Trevor Bauer and the reason that we treat Trevor Bauer's name like the plague is because you do. Not you, Skraby.
Oh, I was like,
not
what?
the caller, but the entire public. Trevor Bauer's name is poison to the public at large, the baseball fan at large, people whose husbands are baseball fans, people, wives of kids who love baseball. The name Trevor Bauer is 100% poison. The only name that's even close to it in the last 10 to 15 years is Deshaun Watson. And see how that worked out for the Cleveland Browns. So the reason we don't talk about it and we refer to him as poison is because that's what he is. He's absolute poison. And even though I do agree with the call on the surface, why not take a chance on somebody like Trevor Bauer, a Cy Young Award winner, when you need pitching? But this is why not. You just can't do it.
I've never heard you say it like that before, and it does make sense, but I think it's actually something bigger than just the Padres. I think it's something that goes in baseball. It's like baseball, in those circles, his name is poison. That's why he's not being picked up by anybody else. All right, good start. And I do remember you calling yesterday. Thank you for being nice. The second one, you're up first, Chris. I'm an avid listener to your station, and I usually agree with Skraby about most things, but hearing him trash the Jason Hayward...
Wait a minute, there's already something wrong with this note.
No, this is why I put it in there.
I agree with Skraby on most things.
Let me restart this, yes. I'm an avid listener to your station, and I usually agree with Skraby about most things, but hearing him trash the Jason Hayward signing made me want to write in. You yourself, Skraby, have been saying for the last 3 months the Padres need to make smart, creative moves. I would say signing a vet with lots of big league experience for $1 million is as creative as AJ can get without being able to spend any money. So, Chris, why are so many people down on Jason Hayward?
Well, because I think we all perceive that his best days are far behind him. And that's something that he's going to have to prove to the rest of us just is not true. But we're all in a wait-and-see attitude with Jason Hayward. And, you look at the 208 average, you look at the paltry contributions over the last, not year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. You look at the fact that, when he was a Gold Glove winner, Obama was in office. It's, this isn't a knock on the guy's career. He's had a really nice run.
Yeah.
Justin Turner. Would he not be the name Justin Turner? If you took out the Dodgers, I get it. But Justin Turner is your DH? You think of him as one of the best hitters in all baseball, but not anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Justin Turner's available, by the way. That's why I bring him up.
Yeah.
But, the Padres need a DH. There's no more professional hitter and clutch hitter than Justin Turner, right? He's done it for years and years. But I think at this stage, you wouldn't take a chance. That's what we're concerned with Jason Hayward. And as I said the other day, Skraby, when we were talking about it, I think Connor Joe is a really good bet because as a right-handed platoon player, he's going to play about 20-25% of the time. Jason Hayward, as a left-handed platoon player, he'd be in the lineup 70 to 75% of the time. I just don't think that's going to work, but I hope I'm wrong.
Looking at Justin Turner, they're projecting on Baseball Reference for him to have hit 257 this year with 14 home runs and 67 RBIs. I would take that in a heartbeat, even if he is 40. I mean, that's not a bad deal. But yeah, why are so many people down on this? I think Chris said it well. I think this is one of my least favorite parts of the job is I trash someone's name when it has nothing to do with the human being itself. But it's part of the job, and I was not excited about this move. I cannot see the Padres thinking that this platoon in left field is going to work all season long. Maybe Jason Hayward's better than Connor Joe, but both of those guys together, clicking, that's too much. That's too much left to chance for me. So that's why I'm down on this one. But I'll probably be wrong in the end. That's how it usually works.
Yeah, and don't worry, whoever wrote that letter, you'll find a whole bunch of more stuff that you disagree with Skraby about. Just keep listening.
They usually agree with me about most things, Chris. So I will take them at their word, and we will move on. Pitching. I think Randy Vasquez is a player the Padres can pencil in as a fifth starter in the rotation. He showed some promise last year. He's 24 years old. And he's someone I think the Padres should invest resources in. I'm up first. Why are so many people down on Randy Vasquez? I think there's a theme to this Padres Pen Pal. It's all about name brand awareness. And Randy Vasquez is not a big name brand kind of guy. He was a fifth starter for the Padres last year. In fact, I'm going to talk more about this on the Skraby Show starting at 6 p.m. because I think that he is someone that the Padres can count on going into this season. So I'll save most of my thoughts from the show after this show, Chris. But what do you think? Why are so many people down on Randy Vasquez?
Well, I'm going to bring up my good friend Jeff Sanders again.
Okay.
And if you're going to ask out there, who's Jeff Sanders? Jeff Sanders is a fine writer for the San Diego Union-Tribune. He covers the Padres.
Your best friend.
And he's not, but he wrote something. Well, I'm being honest. I know.
I was joking. Yes, Jeff Sanders is a great dude.
No, he is. But he wrote something the other day that just hit home with me. And he wrote that the Padres are, taking chances on a lot of lottery tickets, and that's really what they're doing. They got a lot of irons in the fire, and they're hoping one of them catches fire. Randy Vasquez is in that category. Why? He's not shown he can really do it on a consistent basis over a long period of time at the major league level. After all, there are people wondering if Matt Waldron will be able to be a legit starter this year. And if you look back at last season, Waldron's stretch of success was far greater than anything Randy Vasquez did. Randy Vasquez had a few good starts. He showed some signs. I think he's another lottery ticket. Hopefully he will turn the corner and make great strides under Ruben Niebla and become a legit guy. I hope that's true, but at this point, he's nothing more than a really, really, really we hope so kind of guy.
All right, fair enough. Final one, Chris.
We got 4 today.
Yeah, we got 4 today, but this one's a short one. Chris, do you think we are underestimating what Yu Darvish is capable of this year? Uh-oh, what happened? Uh-oh. Is he putting back in his headphones?
You're first.
No, you're first. I just went first with Randy Vasquez.
Oh, sorry.
Do you think we're underestimating Yu Darvish?
Were you underestimating what he can do? Probably.
It's a good answer.
But I don't know that we're going to be that far off. So, I think that we're not expecting like 20 wins out of Yu Darvish. You know what I mean?
That would be a lot for anyone.
Of course, we can't. Yeah, right. We can't really expect that for anybody anymore in this day and age of baseball. But Yu is. He's on the. Well, Before I answer this, let's at least mention how incredible he pitched in the playoffs.
Thank you. I was going to say that thing if you didn't.
Yeah. Right, he pitched like 2 insane games in the playoffs. Just when you thought he was the weakest link in the Padres rotation, he was their best pitcher in the playoffs. So, and I'm looking at his numbers last year. He had a 3.31 ERA. That was down by a run and a half from the year before. 2023, he had a 4.56. Now, he made 8 fewer starts last year because he was away for the team. We all remember that. But Darvish reinvented himself a little bit last year. He's going to be 38 years old. You know what? I'm changing my answer. I think we're underestimating what Yu Darvish is capable of this year at 38. I think he can pull off a great year.
I agree with you.
And we're not expecting it.
Yu Darvish against the Dodgers in an elimination game after missing most of the year went 6 2/3, gave up 3 hits, 2 solo home runs, ERA of 1.98. So those home runs were the ones that did them in, but the offense didn't do anything for him at all, like nothing.
No. Well, he pitched even better than that in the first game or the second game when he beat them.
That's true. That's true. But
Darvish was great.
Yeah, I'm glad that you came around on this, and I'm glad that this person messaged me because I do think we're underestimating him. Yu Darvish is like a consummate professional. Like, if you're going to talk about a professional pitcher, Yu Darvish is a professional pitcher. He's going to figure it out. Him and his 27,000 pitches that he can choose when he's out there throwing. So he could come up with a new pitch if he wants to. But, yes.
That and the fact that he takes amazing care of himself, and he puts a ton of time into taking care of himself, and that's why he's still so successful at this point in his career.
All right, that is it for Padres Pen Pals. Thank you to all the submissions today in Padres Pen Pals. It's okay to disagree with me, but just be nice, and I'll put you in Padres Pen Pals. Sometimes I don't get nice stuff, and I don't put you in Padres Pen Pals. Some quick news here to end the show before the Skraby show, which starts at 6 p.m., and I should have actually been giving you a time to tune in for the Beaver Nugget trying segment. And so I say around 6:35 was when we're going to try the Beaver Nugget segment. I mean, they look pretty, I don't know. I was reading the ingredients. There's a lot that goes into these Beaver Nuggets. I don't know if I'm going to grow another arm when I eat these. I know Sammy Lev wants the Beaver Nuggets when I'm done with them. But anyway, here's some news for you to end Gwynn and Chris with. Ohio State is finalizing a deal to make veteran NFL coach Matt Patricia the school's new defensive coordinator, sources told ESPN today. Now, this is kind of weird. You bring in Matt Patricia. Well, last year they had Chip Kelly as the offensive coordinator, former NFL coach, so it worked out for them. They won the national championship, so why not bring in a guy like Matt Patricia? It will be a perfect spot, I think, for Matt Patricia to show that he could still coach, if he can still coach. But here's the weird part. The move to bring in Patricia comes with a corresponding internal promotion of secondary coach Tim Walton to the co-defensive coordinator role. I don't know that I've ever heard of that before. I've heard of, coaches being... I mean, you know what? I don't know that I've heard that. I'm probably forgetting about something, but a co-defensive coordinator role seems a little weird. I'm not going to lie. It seems like there might be a couple disagreements between the two. Maybe Matt Patricia is actually going to be the actual defensive coordinator, and Tim Walton is going to be like in train. He's got his training wheels on or something. But yeah, so Matt Patricia going to Ohio State to replace Jim Knowles, who left for Penn State in their defensive coordinator job. Apparently, Penn State is the place to be if you want to be a coach, because guy just left his. He just left the same position, I think. From Ohio State, who won the national championship, all the way to Penn State to be the same guy? I don't know. The next story. Saquon Barkley is sick of us booing Taylor Swift. He said he doesn't get it. He said that he's not sure why everyone is hating her. And here's his quote. She was there supporting her significant other, and she's made the game bigger. I don't disagree with that. In football, we're all about how can we expand the game and make it more international. We're traveling to Brazil. We're traveling to Mexico. Apparently, we're traveling to Australia soon, which I guess was news to Saquon. We're trying to expand the game, and her being a part of it is only helping it. I don't get the dislike she's getting. I'm over my Taylor Swift stuff. That was last year. That was last year when they were showing her every time. Honestly, the people I was watching the Super Bowl with, I was like, have we seen Taylor Swift once? And we hadn't. The Taylor Swift stuff has backed off a little bit, and I don't understand why you're booing Taylor Swift at a football game either. But hey, Taylor Swift is polarizing, and she gets reaction, which is probably good for the NFL. But the NFL doesn't really, I mean, yes, they do need Taylor Swift, I guess, but they don't really. They sell themselves. Hot takes to end Gwynn and Chris. Got more hot takes for you in the next hour. Frank is in here with me. He is going to be with me tonight. He's also going to be with Sam Levitt from 7 to 9 p.m. for Inside San Diego Baseball. Beaver Nuggets are going to be tried at 6:35 tonight. So stick around. I'll be back with you in 5 minutes or so.